let me know, one of the panelists, let me know if you can see my screen when it starts populating.
Yes, we can.
Perfect, beautiful. So this is my beautiful AI generated image of wind turbines and solar panels. So this is what we got. Interesting execution. Definition's a little cloudy, but with every showcase, I think we'll get slightly better and better with each AI generated image. So we'll see what it is next time. So welcome to the Energy and Clean Tech Showcase. I am your host, Asher Rudensky, and right now we are in the middle of the opening remarks and meeting the panel. After that, we are going to go to the pitches, which is going to start with an open topic session, followed by an energy session, and ending off with a clean tech session. So what are we doing and why are we doing it? That might be a question that some of you are asking, or not many of you are asking, either way. Essentially, what we're working on is helping bring deep tech companies to the market by leveraging the power of community. What that translates to in normal terms is that we want to help the folks that are making really cool technologies and the folks that are trying to enable really cool technologies to meet each other. So we want there to be collaboration within ecosystems. So we put on these events with the hopes of having people, meet each other, network, and hopefully have some good things come out of it. Already from these events, we've had some really nice results, some really good partnerships and collaborations, and we hope to continue those. And to continue with that idea, we have startups, tech scouts, and investors, and the tech scouts could be both from either government or corporations that are all looking for deep tech. And the events are monthly, and they usually follow a common theme like energy, aerospace, industry 4.0. And the goal is to take all these technologies that are usually frontier tech, deep tech, hard tech, whatever you might call it, and bring them together with the people who are looking for these types of technologies. In between the showcases, we don't just wait for the next showcase, although, sometimes we might. We don't just wait for the next showcase. We also try to connect people and do matchmaking, so to speak. So if you are an investor, a lot of investors on this call I've already spoken with, or if you're or a corporation or government and you're looking for deal flow, or you're saying, hey, some of these startups are relevant, I wonder if they have any startups that are doing XYZ. What we'll do is we'll try to connect you with the folks that we're in touch with or that we know of that could be relevant for those fields. So we're always on the lookout and we're always trying to help. So if you are looking for deal flow, or if you see anyone during this showcase that you want to meet with or speak with, feel free to let us know. These are the two upcoming showcases, Industry 4.0, which includes, just so everyone knows, because sometimes Industry 4.0 is, it's a broad general term, but it's going to be enabling hardware and software for manufacturing, which, it could range from IoT to CNC to chemicals and anything in between. Pretty much it covers a wide range of manufacturing industry. And then microelectronics and semiconductors, we're doing that. And we're really excited because, just so everyone knows, and I'm sure Benjamin might talk about this in a couple of minutes, but the CHIPS Act is finally kicking into place. They already have a website and they're already releasing funding opportunities. So just so everyone knows, semiconductors are, they're going to be a very, very interesting field coming up. So Benjamin, I cede the floor to you.
It's my pleasure. So if you're not already familiar with us here at Eagle Point Funding, we are focused on non-dilutive R&D funding for US-based tech startups. What we were really seeking to do is help make it not only for your companies, but for companies in your space to find that funding from the US federal government that they give, whether it be the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, NASA, the NSF, any of the major agencies that you know of. All of them give out research in a non-dilutive capacity to companies. So what we do is we handle not only the sourcing of the grants, but actually the writing of them as well. So we want to handle the vast majority of the budgeting, the technical documents, the business proposals, formatting, editing, writing, laying it out, submitting to the agencies, communicating with the agencies, essentially whatever we can take off you or your client's plate. That's what we're here for. Now, as Asher mentioned, with the CHIPS Act, we've just recently had announced in the beginning of March, the first tranche of funding. It wasn't a lot. There was about 20 different opportunities. We're expecting a lot more over the summer and in the next half year, I'd say, to come. But there are a lot of good opportunities at the moment that are open or about to open. Why we win, why we've succeeded in this space, it comes down to three things. One, we know the federal funding system. It may not sound like a lot, but it is, if you've ever tried, you've ever applied yourself, it is a terrible system to try and navigate through. And so what we do is the last 20 years, we've been focused on this space, understanding not only our clients, but understanding the government side, who the project managers, what are these agencies asking for, what are they actually asking for when they say something, when they really mean something else. It's understanding that and understanding how to navigate and position our clients to best succeed. Now, the other thing is we're not really looking to work with you for 1 grant to 2 grants. For us, this is a long-term relationship. Most of our clients work with us for 18 months, and we're applying to somewhere between 15 to 20 grants during that time, each of which start off at about $100,000, but can go up to as high as 1.6 million. And that allows us to not only guarantee that you are going to win, but also make sure that you are going to have your technology seen and put in front of various agencies, ones that you're probably expecting, ones you may not be, but are still funding your tech. And lastly, pretty early on, we realized that these are your peers, the ones who are going to be reading your proposals, they're your peers. They understand the tech. That's not their problem. What they need to understand is the dream, the vision, how what you're proposing to do is going to really change the status quo. And so we found that the more that we could put that in, the better our clients did. And it's why it's allowed us to be one of the leaders in this industry. If you're interested in talking more about either your portfolio or you as a company, happy to talk to you. Please do not hesitate to scan that QR code. We'll take you directly to my Calendly. I'm happy to book some time to talk with you over the next few weeks. But that's it for me. Asher, take it away.
Thank you, Benjamin. That was great. And so with that, we are going to we're gonna launch right into what we're gonna present for the open topic. So we're doing the meet the panel right after I present the slide. But after that, we're gonna have the presentation from If and When, then QO Lab, then Spark eFuels, and then Mac Collective. And the rest of them I'm gonna present before. But before I do that, I'm going to quickly introduce the panel. And for the panel, I'm not going to ask a complicated question this time because last time it took too much time. So I apologize. If you guys are expecting, some kind of crazy question, not this time, but maybe next time. So just introduce yourselves and your organization and what you're looking to see or what you're excited about in the market today. And we'll start now. Kenny, you want to take it away?
Sure. I'm an investor at the New York Angels as well as Mid-Atlantic BioAngels, and I'm looking forward to some leading edge technologies here.
Perfect. Thank you, Kenny. Conrad? Oh, I don't know if Conrad was able to make it. If he is here. Nope, I don't think he was able to make it. All right, Bill, you're up.
Yeah, so I'm the investment associate at Veritas Innovations. So the parent company is a private equity real estate investor and owner, and we're basically a corporate venture group that seeks out either investing in or partner with technology that can improve either our resident experience or our own operations. So a lot of that is very deep tech focused. So it's good to be here and see what we have.
Perfect. Enrico.
Hello, everyone. I'm Enrico. I'm an investor at Tech Energy Ventures. We invest mostly between the US and Europe in hardware startups within the energy transition, especially between the hydrogen, CCUS, lithium, geothermal, and long-duration energy storage verticals. So excited to learn about different startups and meet everybody here.
Perfect. Happy to have you. Next up, Craig.
Hi, everyone. Craig McClelland here. I'm up in Canada. I'm with our federal government in one of our 7 regional economic development agencies. My role is really supporting Canada, or Southern Ontario's aerospace and defense sectors, bringing people together, understanding what the latest technologies are out there, and seeing how they may apply to defense work or otherwise commercially, just to support economic growth here in Canada. So really excited to learn more about the exciting technologies out here, especially in light of recent investments we've had around supporting EV batteries and a lot of clean tech. It's important for us up here. So thanks for inviting me again along to these.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. All right. Next up, Maureen.
Hi, everyone. I invest in, I support the commercialization of, and collaboration between corporates and startups in a number of really science-driven spaces, including clean tech, and really excited to see companies that are bringing some of that materials and chemistry into play here, given some of my backgrounds.
Absolutely. And Yoav, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. Yoav Weiser from Next Gear Ventures, a venture fund out of Israel, investing in smart, sustainable mobility. So we're looking into early stage investments, companies in electrification, clean energy, alternative fuels, etc.
Perfect. Thank you. Tom, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, I'm Tom Blum in New York City. I'm a partner with Kenny at the New York Angels, but it was so tough getting equipment and clean tech related deals funded, given all the other sectors New York Angels funds. I helped start a clean tech angel group just to do clean tech, and we quickly merged in with Clean Energy Venture Group in Boston, which is an unusual hybrid. It's a 35-member angel group, and then a VC fund, which is now up to about over 300 million under management. So we do everything from pre-seed to Series B, Series Seed, and we're very focused on greenhouse gas reduction companies.
Perfect. Thank you for being here. And then last but not least, we have Anna Jarman. Yeah, there she is. I think you're muted, Anna.
Hi, yeah, sorry about that. Tech problems at the Deep Tech Showcase. So I'm with Walmart Global Tech. We are the technology arm of Walmart. We're about 24,000 people in particular, with the innovation and emerging tech group, with focus on bringing in new technologies that can help Walmart continue its mission of bringing always lower prices to the customer and finding new ways to succeed in our omni-channel goals. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Anna. All right. And so without further ado, I think we're running slightly early, but I think that's okay. We are going to have the first presentation from If and When. And presenting will be Michael Plaster. Michael, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's good to meet all of you. In 2022, a landmark United Nations report concluded that the risk of devastating wildfires worldwide will increase in coming decades as a result of climate change. Australia's Black Summer of 2020 was overshadowed by the spread of burnings in Brazil, Canada, and Russia in 2021. And last year's wildfires in Spain, Portugal, and France set some of Europe's most popular tourist destinations ablaze. In the United States, climate change is increasing the severity and frequency of wildfires in the West, the South, Pacific Northwest, particularly where home building and population growth has expanded in so-called wildland urban interface regions. Today, more than 6 million US homes are at significant risk from wildfires, and 1 in 4 Californians live in high-risk fire zones. According to one study, almost 500,000 California homes worth more than $250 billion are at risk for wildfire damages. The increased frequency with which wildfires now occur, the longer annual fire seasons, and the resulting thinning of community firefighting resources prompt official advice to create defensible spaces and shelter in place. This has intensified the need for household and personal self-reliance. Additionally, possible concurrent landslides, road flooding, and tree falls could further delay professional assistance during wildfire disasters and other natural disasters, which we're having repeatedly here in California, leaving property owners more vulnerable to injuries, fatalities, and structural damage. When fire is anticipated, many turn to the handy garden hose to wet down properties or combat flames. This is a problem as the garden hose stream pressure is weak and without enough reach to do much good. Portable gas and diesel fueled fire pumps offer better protection given their high pressure capabilities. They typically draw water from co-located pools, lakes, cisterns, and water troughs. It's no small resource as there are currently over 10 million swimming pools in the United States. California and Florida are each home to more than 1 million swimming pools. But gas-powered fire pumps are inherently limited by the size of their fuel tanks and the need to store and access flammable liquids near fire events. Also, complications associated with water pump priming, as well as starting and regulating an internal combustion engine, make for relatively complex processes during time-critical events. Again, not an ideal option. If and When was founded in 2018 to design a better solution. Since then, we have offered and now hold the exclusive patents for STAT, a portable battery-powered, remotely activated emergency response station. Now in prototype development, STAT is designed to function automatically and independently, enabling owners to act as their own first responders, pumping liquids at emergency service pressure levels and providing electrical power to a wide range of equipment, mitigating disasters in those crucial moments before additional help can arrive. Importantly, STAT can be automatically or manually started with one button. No priming, no choke, no gas. The STAT emergency station is designed to be remotely activated by FEMA, NOAA, CAL FIRE, local computer-aided dispatch systems, wireless alerts, and other public and private wireless emergency signals. When alerted via either satellite, cell phone, web-based technology, or manually, STAT begins charging its battery systems, communicates with its designated clients, and activates user programmable protocols to respond to a variety of emergency situations, empowering owners in the event of fires, floods, and power outages. STAT pumps liquids and emergency service pressure levels to mitigate fire and flood solutions. In the event of a power outage, STAT automatically generates power from its battery systems to support a range of onboard and outboard ancillary equipment. It's an increasing issue as major electrical utilities now preemptively limit additional wildfire ignitions by cutting off power to large unsegmented areas during fire situations, so-called PSPS situations. STAT's portable and can be manually moved to emergency sites by an able-bodied person or preset and user-populated and programmed unintended use can be achieved. If and when has secured multiple patents and trademarks for STAT in the United States, given the increasing global nature of wildfire disasters, we've gone on to receive patents in Japan, China, and Russia, with patents pending in Europe, Mexico, Israel, Australia, and the Republic of Korea. STAT trademarks are now secured and pending around the world. We anticipate providing portable STAT units for uses in homes, farms, ranches, apartment complexes, and commercial buildings, and professional models may be designed for trained emergency service professionals at military, community, industrial, and governmental sites. The STAT Communications prototype made its debut at this past January's Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, where we received attention from representatives of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and we were invited to speak and exhibit at September's upcoming Natural Disasters Expo in Anaheim, California. Last month, we applied to the United States Air Force AFWERT grant round, and we're now actively looking for potential partners to help further develop the prototype, test our communications, pumping and motor systems, and bring STAT to the marketplace. Potential partners and licensees might include battery manufacturers, insurance and utility companies, emergency signal aggregators, government and commercial emergency service operators, military, and large box distributors. So thanks for your time and consideration. I look forward to your questions.
The panelists can ask questions in the order that they raise their hands virtually. The hand raise button, in case you're wondering, it's under the reactions tab. It's the little thing that says raise hand. Maureen is the first one. She gets the first question. Go right ahead.
I already knew where the button was. So thank you, Michael. This is really interesting. I'm curious what your business model is in terms of, is this a one-time purchase? Is it a purchase with a service? Sort of how does that aspect of your business work?
Yeah, there's a number of revenue stream possibilities. It's a one-time purchase, but we hope to work with insurance companies to achieve discounts. If you have $1 million home, it's a $1,000 purchase that can hopefully provide discount on your insurance premiums, having this in home. Also, we're working with aggregators of emergency signals and creating licensing agreements with them so that when their signals are reached by the system, you wind up being able to activate the system, and that could be a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription. And then we hope that some of the future iterations of the product will provide upgrade paths and accelerated opportunities to create different possibilities for the product in military, larger situations.
Perfect. Yoav, you're up.
I had a similar question, but maybe you can address that also. What's your go-to-market strategy? You're looking to do, a B2C model, B2B model?
We're looking for a B2C and a B2B model. We're also looking to work with manufacturers that are in this world, Ingersoll Rand, some of the other larger companies that are building industrial versions of this that want to go into a home and consumer model. There's a lot of companies that are working directly with firefighting companies, emergency services. This would extend their ability to work at a home level. So while they may have 32,000 subscribers for those emergency services models, we can bring this product into millions of homes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill, you're up.
Yeah, I think you mentioned insurance, which I think is definitely an interesting aspect. I think for a lot of these technologies that have the potential to, do cost savings or risk mitigations, insurance is probably one of the main players to look into. What caught my attention is you mentioned, apartments and multifamily as a potential application. Obviously, we play big in that market. Multifamily is the primary asset that we invest in. And so I was wondering, how far have you looked into that potential? What are some of the use cases you have in mind, if you had any conversations in that industry?
That's our second step. So we haven't had many conversations, but our hope is to move into apartment complexes, homeowner associations and the like, or gated communities where high value homes and high value structures occur, and they're co-located with a lot of swimming pools and a lot of other water sources. So that is our next stage.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anna, you're up. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear you, Anna.
So along those lines, things like retail stores, for example, have you had any discussions for non-living spaces, for things that are buildings like retail spaces?
Yeah, I mean, we're working with a number of conversations right now. Our hope is to get into the big box stores. I mean, yours is Walmart, but we're looking at Lowe's and Home Depot. We hope to create a new category. So just as you'd walk in and be able to buy a snow blower or a battery powered lawnmower, this would also be on the shelf, and you'd be able to walk away with the product in those situations.
I guess I mean actually for use within, like
Oh, for use with the actual stores or the retail spaces? Yeah, I mean, that would clearly be a third set of applications. Our first run-in is we want to go into a home use. Then we want to go into apartment complex, homeowner associations and the like, then go into an industrial site. But industrial and warehouse spaces are great, but we're also looking at mom and pop stores, places where people are working with brick and mortar installations that need this backup as a flood or a wildfire or fire situation.
Interesting.
Tremendous.
Um,
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and Michael, one thing, you're the first one of the presentations, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record for the rest of the day, but leave your contact or whatever you're comfortable sharing in the chat. So it could be a LinkedIn, it could be an email, it could be a phone number, whatever you want, leave it in the chat so that people who are interested in getting in contact with you can get in contact with you.
Very good. I'll do so. Thank you.
Perfect. No, thank you. Next up, we have QLab. And give me 1 second. Yeah, you should be able to share your screen whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Daniel Young here with QuillLab Technologies, and we have our product, which is signature named QuillLab XCIM. I'm going to go through that here real quick for you all. By the way, can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect, thank you. So yeah, founded in 2020, we are a cybersecurity software platform. My background was DoD, Department of Defense, and then also USIC. Spent quite a few years doing digital forensics incident response, and then later on running and leading threat mitigation teams across different Department of Defense and also .gov entities before branching out and creating this project and launching. So our team is between Germany and the United States, about 10 team members currently, very small company with a very large footprint though, as far as what we deliver and execute on. And our goal is to redefine security operations through our platform. And the way that we do that is providing a unified security ecosystem that focuses on the integration, automation, transformation of cybersecurity data. The reason that we do that is to address these challenge points. Specifically, and probably key amongst those is alert fatigue and fragmented threat operations space. Those two key parts also related to that is security planning and destructive silos. But the industry as a whole is faced with a gap of, overwhelming number of threats, overwhelming number of tools, overwhelming number of events and incidents coming from those tools in different systems and sources, and then the inability for analysts to automate and integrate that in a unified way. That's not a new concept, what we're pursuing. There's several other key players in the market, like Palo Alto Cortex, XCIM, as well as several different ones that we can go into if you want to see that. But our approach to it is saying holistically across the board, how can we unify for the users at the user level? So this is in network technology, we call this a layer, our terminology, a layer 8 tool. So the user being the top level layer. How can we drive down through the security control stack in a way that makes sense from a human perspective? And the way to do that is you have to be able to source agnostically and bring in data and automate that ingestion of it, and then transform that data. This is how we do that on a very highly granular technical level. On the left, you have the data sources that we bring in. As you can see, it's everything from cyber threat intelligence data, which is the boring normal stuff that cybersecurity companies deal with on a day-to-day basis. We can handle HR data and also medical as well as financial data. So crypto chain monitoring and logging, and then following back through Swift transactions is a key part of what we do for our clients as well. Because of ransomware attacks, it not only has an email with a piece of malicious malware in it that flows up the chain all the way to how they're demanding their cash and their money. And we bring that into a unified ecosystem that ties into different players and produces output for the users in the form of automated reports, data sharing, ticket management, and so forth. From a high level, these are the partners that we work with, and this is the different data sources that we bring in and ingest. Bunch of different things, as again, like I talked about, different sources. A lot of companies in our space focus on one or two of those, but the reality is in the cybersecurity operations space, you need access to all of these. Couple key market differentiators, and then we're going to wrap it up here. This is our multi-tenant SaaS platform. That is a huge differentiator. We're the only one in the market that can deliver both in the cloud and on premise. And then our automated reporting tool where users can drag and drop or select workflows that create and build professional looking white labeled branded reports for their organization. And then lastly, our automated defer and threat hunting tools, all baked in within one unified ecosystem platform. Our future roadmap is here, which you can see, and we're seeking gap funding to get us through to our Series A in Q1 2024. So any questions on what I just went through? And I apologize, I went through that pretty fast. So I know I dropped a few acronyms in there that people may not be familiar with. Happy to provide that information.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we'll have, it looks like Anna has a question to start off. So Anna, go right ahead.
And okay, I'm sorry. So if you could just remind me again, what specific problem is this solving that is not being addressed by what exists on the market today?
Absolutely. So the tools that exist on the market today, if you look at the SIEMs and the SOARs, so security incident and event management tools or security orchestration automation tools, those are the key kind of players that have been in the market up until now, as well as TIPS, threat intelligence platforms. Those three main technologies exist on the market. There's a bunch of very big brand names behind those applications that are delivering individually those three, the whole component that we bring together to the plate right now with Collab. We're not saying you can rip and replace any one of those. Maybe you want to keep them together with your space, but what we do is make it approachable and usable by the users. It gives them a single source of knowledge or a single pane of glass to all the different tools and techniques and different threats that they're seeing within their environment. Specifically, what that means from a customer's standpoint is that it makes them a lot more efficient. Their analysts don't have to be pivoting between 10 or 15 different tools, and they have collected all the data in one central location. So reporting and case management is critical. And then from an evidentiary standpoint, none of the other products on the market are focused on assisting both the insurance providers as well as regulatory entities and then law enforcement in having a collected space where they can have all that information tagged, appropriately marked and identified in a unified way. So that's what we're doing from the layer 8 issue again, right? We're fitting in between the users and their security control stack. It's about automation and efficiency at the very end of the day and bringing business intelligence to cyber threat intelligence data.
Okay, and I'm sorry, just to clarify, who would be the user? Like who's the user?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so the user base is going to be your ISMs, so incident security managers. It will also be your threat intelligence team, SOC analysts, and then also digital forensics incident responders. So the more technical people are going to be definitely the users of the platform. The consumers though, and this is the key point, right? So the users would be the technical team. The consumers are the outside them, the management layer, the partners, and the other entities that need access to that data, because it's providing that data in a refined, polished manner to their customers, essentially.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, you're up. Kenny, you can go if you want to.
Yeah. What's your current, thank you for the presentation. What's your current run rate? What are you looking for in terms of funds, and what are those used? What's the use for those funds?
Okay, so we have our current run rate is about 75,000 a year or a month. Sorry, we're looking for 750,000 in gap funding. We have secured contracts that allow us to fund the remainder and actually scale a little bit. But what we're looking for is the stability and funding with a proper partner to get us to that Series A on the liquidity side to where we can launch with them forward.
And then just to follow, what would that round look like?
So that round, because we're active in the government space and the commercial space, so there's a couple of different ways that we can slice and dice that. If I had to be honest, and I'm betting for myself, which you always do, right? That round will probably be in the round between 5 and 6 million, based off of projected ARR in our pipeline.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Daniel.
My pleasure.
And so next up we have Spark E-Fuels. Feel free to start sharing your screen when you're ready.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having us. I hope you can see my screen.
We can.
Does it move? Okay. So yeah, thanks for that introduction and the opportunity to introduce Spark eFuels, our German sustainable e-fuels for sustainable aviation startup. Aviation means freedom, connecting people all over the world, but it comes with a price. With 1 gigaton of CO2 emitted per year, it accounts for 4 to 5% of the global warming effects. And for several reasons, these emissions are hard to abate. While there are hydrogen-powered or electric airplanes that may substitute the existing fleet on regional routes, there is no alternative in sight to kerosene-powered propulsion on mid or long-haul flights. But there is an alternative to fossil kerosene. Sustainable aviation fuels, or SAF, are produced from CO2 and can replace fossil fuels in existing airplanes and infrastructure already today. And this cycle allows a reduction of 99% of life cycle emissions. So why don't we already fly sustainably? To make a long story short here, it's too expensive and unavailable in sufficient quantities. Because what's missing are rapidly scalable systems that are operational at locations with highly available renewable energy. And to highlight the value of our solution, let me quickly introduce today's SAF production concepts. SAF can be produced from biomass. It's called biofuel then. And this technology is mature and large plants are being deployed at the moment. That's a great first step, but due to feedstock availability and limitations in the cost reduction potentials, they will only get us so far. The first e-fuels projects are slowly being developed with technologies that rely on constant energy input from the grid or from hydropower, which both is very expensive. But the electricity costs are the main cost driver for the e-fuels production. So direct access to cheap renewable sources like wind and solar are vital. But due to the fluctuating nature of those renewable energy sources, new technologies have still to be developed. And that's where Spark eFuels comes in. Our SAF plant maps the entire value chain from providing CO2 and hydrogen to the production of on-spec tankable sustainable aviation fuel. But our technology development focuses on the two-stage synthesis of a crude product via the Fischer-Tropsch route to manage intermittent energy and hydrogen input throughout the reactor cascade and achieve high plant profitability at the same time. So here we take advantage of industrial solutions that are known to industry on various scales, but with our Spark technologies, we adapt or complement them to enable profitable plant operations directly connected to those intermittent renewable energy input without the need for a constant grid. But who are we? No, let me see. That way we can achieve 30 to 50% lower operating costs than current plant concepts. And with our reactor concepts, we ensure fast and reliable scalability. So we are ready to scale with the development of wind and solar energy parks. And with emission reductions of up to 99%, we meet all international sustainability criteria. And we are already in the middle of implementation. After 1.5 years of technology development and building an extensive network of supporters, we plan to start up our demonstration plant in Germany already end of next year. And the German Federal Ministry of Transport will fund this 20 million euro project with 15 million euros. In parallel, we plan the fast progression to our first commercial plant in 2026. And by 2030, we will be producing 200,000 tons of SAF per year. And the timing couldn't be better. Rapidly increasing political quotas create a market size of 50 billion euros as early as 2030 and further growing in the coming decades. And a huge supply-demand gap is expected already before 2030. And by that time, Spark is ready to capture its market share. So who are we? There is Arno. He's an industrial engineer with a PhD in techno-economic assessments of CCUS technologies and a serial entrepreneur awarded Forbes 30 Under 30. I'm a chemist. My name is Julia Bauer, and I'm a chemical engineer with a PhD in synthetic fuel manufacturing and have been working as a process engineer in the chemical industry before. Then there is Matthias, our CEO. He has a PhD in nuclear fusion, but his heart beats for the commercialization of green technologies. And that's what he's been doing as a consultant for the Boston Consulting Group before becoming our CEO. And I can say I've hardly ever worked with a greater team before, so you can become part of this team. We are currently looking for investors for our 3 million euro seed round. That was just below $3.3 million when I checked earlier today. With this money, we can unlock the 15 million public grant for our demo plant and in parallel start the project development for our first commercial plant. And moreover, we are always looking for partners in the chemical industry, oil and gas, and for sure, aviation industry partners for our mission. So please join us. We at Sparky Fuels would be thrilled. And please ask any questions you might have. Thank you.
As we said, it looks like you have some interest in the chat, but Enrico, go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Julia. So I have a couple of questions. Could you please speak a little bit about the IP regarding the technical route that you're using? Do you have any patents granted? And also, if you could speak a little bit about the current TRL level, if the technology that you're using has been kind of prior to the demo plan that you're planning to use, what the results have been in the lab, and any challenges that you foresee scaling that up?
Yes, so I think that's 2 questions. Thank you. Regarding IP, we're currently in the process of filing patents on 2 technology parts that will allow us for the the fluctuating energy input. It's a storing process or an integrating hydrogen storage technology and a reactor concept for fluctuating energy input. We are currently filing those. They have not been granted so far. But in our previous technology development, we have done lab scale experiments and did our work there and found the partners for the manufacturing of the catalyst materials and so on and so forth. The problem is with that kind of development that we're aiming for, this fluctuating energy input, that the problem you only see in the large scale production facility. So further lab scale experiments won't get us any further, since like heat management and all the interfaces between the different reactors, they are the challenge that have to be solved. And from a chemical engineering perspective, it's a huge challenge to work with reactors and heat management systems and a flexible load. So these are the challenges that we have to solve, and to solve them, we need to build a bigger plant that really produces heat and not only consumes it like a lab scale setup would do.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yoav, you're up.
Yes, thank you, Julia. One question. Why have you chosen aviation? Is the technology specific for aviation, or can it be used in other segments like trucking, mobility?
For sure. The beauty of that technology is actually that we can make any hydrocarbon-based fuel out of it that we would like. So truck diesel would definitely be an alternative product that we could produce. From a sustainability perspective, for most of our transport issues, we have alternatives like electric or hydrogen-powered propulsion that are much more efficient and energy efficient. Hydrocarbons are really only necessary when you have to have a very, very high energy density, volume-wise and weight-wise, and there aviation is just the perfect use case for that. And the market that I have shown, it's really driven by quotas, so it will be the highest prices that will be paid by the aviation. But for sure, we can tune the output to whatever we want. Another, like the side product that we will always have is naphtha, which is a sustainable feedstock for the chemical industry, which will for sure also have a price tag attached to it, but nobody knows how much that will be. So aviation is much more concrete already.
Thank you.
Craig, you're up. Sorry about that. I was muted.
Yeah, I saw that. Thanks. I just let you flail there with your mouth moving and no sound coming through.
Exactly.
I almost did the same myself though, so I appreciated the reminder there. Julia, thanks. This sounds like a really interesting technology that you guys have developed. I'm curious if you've approached or been approached by any I guess like military aircraft manufacturers. I'm thinking Dassault, Airbus, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or any of those. I'm aware Lockheed Martin's made some investments in this area in the past, and sustainable fuels are definitely of interest. In my work dealing with them, it comes up. So I'm just curious if you've explored that route, and if there's anything you can share.
Yeah, we have seen that this is something that is a thing in the US for sure. I don't know exactly why, but German officials seem to be much more reluctant to fund startups or invest into any new enterprises in any way or new technologies. But for sure, I mean, airlines and even more the turbine, the jet engine manufacturers, they are actually the ones who approach us at the moment to support them in their technology development. But airlines and the fuel providers, BP, Shell, they are the ones who are actually looking for production volumes that they can buy at the moment.
Okay, thanks. And sorry, one more if I may, Asher. Sorry. I'm calling in from Canada, and I know you're looking at the US here, but you're a German company. Are there other countries that you're interested in as well, or is this all in the US right now?
Not at all. We've been super happy with the developments in the US, like with the South Grand Challenge. So there's really serious motivation to scale those technologies. So we are interested in the US, but Canada, for example, for sure has amazing production locations with like high availability of renewable energy potential. So it's for sure a country that we would be happy to work with. And overall, we plan to scale our technologies globally, right? That's where the renewable electricity will be. It will be distributed on a global scale, and that's where the technology has to be as well.
Awesome, and thank you, Alvin, for that stat there. We're fighting to stay in 5th place. So anyway, thank you, Julia. That was for sure. Well, I'll reach out to you afterwards if you can share your info in the chat.
For sure, I definitely will. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah, thanks. So I think it seems like aviation, especially jet fuel, has different grade requirements for different temperatures. So in the US we fly, I think it's Jet A, and I think up in Canada it's like Jet A1 or something like that. Is that something that, like, I assume, like, cutting the fuel, is that the same process for you guys compared to traditional jet fuel? Is there any sort of complications with that? And I know Craig mentioned like military use. I'm pretty sure the US Air Force uses their own, I think like 730 mix of gasoline to kerosene or something like that. Is that like, does that present a difficulty in adoption, or is that basically the same process as like current industry practices?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's super interesting, and it's a little bit technical, but there are those different qualities, and for sure aviation and everything technology development that goes into aviation is a subject of very heavy regulation. And the good thing for us is the route that we are following, this Fischer-Tropsch route, is something that has been already certified. So what we produce is something that's called Jet SPK. It's a synthetic paraffinic kerosene. And until now, this is a blending component. So we can blend it up to 50% with fossil kerosene and apply that to whatever jet engine can fly with Jet A or Jet A1 fuels. So this has been certified. The jet engine manufacturers are working on the certifications for 100% SAF. But since we don't have any quantities right now, this is nothing that we worry about. They still have quite some time until we hit the 50% blending barrier in the future.
Got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julia. With that, wrap it up, and feel free to post your contact info in the chat. And I'm sure there's quite a few people, it looks like, that want to speak with you.
I definitely will. Thank you all very much.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Map Collective, and feel free to share your screen when you're ready to go.
Thanks so much, Asher. Just popping that up on the screen, and here we go. So, hi, it's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And I am Tara Gupta. I'm the founder and CEO of Map Collective. And what we do is we provide a hub for decarbonization, specifically in the supply chain, as well as risk tracking across the supply chain through a end-to-end visualization solution. So really what that means is a holistic solution to help us map macro trends and help us decarbonize different elements of the supply chain and solve for problems like industrial symbiosis and energy hubs. So we have a combination of publicly available and privately available SaaS tools. So really what that includes is our macro maps, where we look at data around macro trends, and this is air quality, hotspots, carbon. So we cover a lot of different data sets through data mining and direct work with data from our clients, as well as work from aggregating data sets through AI algorithms and through a basis on GIS mapping. We also provide free carbon tracking as a baseline tool. And this is to help democratize that carbon tracking process in an era where a lot of this data is just missing or is not quite, is all estimated data in a lot of countries. When we're looking at intergovernmental partnerships with certain organizations, then we'll also be mapping for countries that don't have an LCA system. So in order to counter that, we are incrementally building out an IoT system, or not building out the hardware ourselves, but building out the data that connects to IoT systems around the world and plugging into networks where we can mine a lot of this data for a lot of the public information. We also provide monitoring reporting tools. So our corporate sustainability tool really targets logistics companies and supply chain oriented companies, where we're able to baseline the business as usual case scenarios and look at emissions by sector and source. So really simplifying this process and helping analyze risk in the supply chain as a result of building up that base map around supply chain. So this allows us to forecast if floods or wildfires are happening in a particular region, and can be very helpful for government clients, say state of California or state of Florida, who have two of the biggest budgets or concerns around wildfire prevention and management. And for our research and planning tools, we help build off the core supply chain map by adding on projects of immediate concern, such as EV transition, looking at existing infrastructure networks, as well as helping plan for that route optimization as organizations are looking to comply with the Californian rules, as well as looking to remap EV fleets that they are introducing into their supply chain. Another element of this add-on project to your core supply chain map would be locational planning. And this looks at carbon intensity in the supply chain, can be very useful for mapping risk across different locations and looking at optimal locations for a warehouse or a manufacturing facility. And this can be very helpful to hard to abate industries. So here we're looking at steel. Chemicals is another area where this is very useful when we're planning for locational analysis or locational decision making across the supply chain. Then we can bring in a variety of factors such as economic data and environmental risk as well. Water and biodiversity are two tools that we've also built out over our add-on features. And this can help look at water stress across the supply chain and biodiversity by land type and by LiDAR sensing. So this is layered onto your supply chain map by really focusing in on a particular area. The foliage type is sensed by analyzing LiDAR data in a particular area in your supply chain or in your area of concern. If you're working on a biodiversity project that is perhaps adjacent to your supply chain or directly in that asset map of your supply chain. So all shoring up the supply chain risk and resilience. Lastly, collaboration tools. Since we have comprehensive supply chain mapping tools for each individual organization or entity, then we're able to look at the collaborations that can happen between different organizations as well. So this has multiple applications such as industrial symbiosis and energy hub planning. One of the unique data sets that we mined through our algorithms is future hydrogen projects and their carbon intensities and the amount of hydrogen produced. And gathering this data into one central data set that can be displayed alongside your supply chain can also look at where energy consumption and demand are meeting energy production, existing energy production, and then forecasted supply as well. So this is one great application that is one of our multi-user applications that we're in the process of building out. We also are in the process of building out an industrial symbiosis tool, which looks at, it really connects the outputs of one industry to the inputs of another industry. So for toxic materials or for materials that are really more complicated to handle in terms of that recyclability or second use scenario that are usually disposed of, can be taken into account for a second look. Right now, the only industrial symbiosis project happening in the US is happening in the Northwest, but this tool can allow for scale of that type of regionalized process and really that type of collaboration between organizations that allows for even greater cost savings.
30-second
Our team, sorry?
30-second warning.
Oh, okay. Our team comes from a diverse background and really has experience in sustainability from a variety of prestigious schools, as well as from direct experience in organizations like Black & Decker and Farmers Insurance. We also have a great development team that consists of our core developers who work in the United Nations working groups, as well as have previous work with government agencies and Palantir Technologies by Peter Thiel. And extending beyond that, we also have a expansive team in India to assist in build out of some of our product. Thank you so much. I'm happy to take any questions.
Had your hand raised for quite some time now, so go right ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I have to jump on this one. This is a fascinating platform. I guess two questions, and I'm sorry if I missed it when you said this, but where is this data coming from, and to what degree is it real time versus what's the lag?
Thank you. Yeah, great question. So we're using a variety of different data sources. We're pulling from public data sets, which will have a lag or will have different types of lag. So there might be certain data sets that have that are dated back a year, but usually we're only using data sets that will be dated back a day. And so it should be live when we're looking at traffic data, we're looking at data that's dated back an hour. When we're looking at weather forecasts, we have a partnership in the weather forecast space. So we can look at data that is live data as well as, so dated back maybe like a minute or a couple seconds. And then we have data that will be forecasted out in a 42-day period as well as a 10-year period. Soil quality data, we have satellite data, which we can use data that is dated back maybe an hour, half an hour, 15 minutes. But then we also are using soil sample data. So when there is not an accurate measure that's coming from the satellite, or when we're concerned about the actual quality of that, then we'll use our data partnership in that space with the company that takes the live samples or takes actual samples. So that will allow us to really expand the accuracy. So we're balancing these different data types in order to really make sure that we're forming the most accuracy in any space. Hopefully that answers some of that question.
Yeah, it sounds like quite the data science problem. So cool. Thank you.
Perfect. Next up, Enrico.
Thank you, Tara. Very interesting. So I guess I was wondering, nowadays, there are more and more kind of companies trying to map, for example, carbon mapping of nature-based solutions and so on. And they kind of create barriers to entry by having very specific solutions, even using drones that check at a very kind of micro level how these assets are doing. I was wondering, given kind of the full suite of solutions that you are working on that range from kind of water to EV and so on, if you're planning on kind of focusing first on a specific market, and what customer do you think that would be for that market or not, and how you plan on kind of creating these barriers to entry, given that you're getting most of your data from kind of outside sources?
Of course, yeah. So our barriers to entry for our specific platform, if that means if that means the onboarding process, it's pretty low, because we are able to source a lot of public data or rely on partnerships that we've structured creatively through profit share or through equity share or whatever it may be, or through publicity or free different public organization projects that then we're doing some pro bono work, they're doing some pro bono work. So through that type of partnership structuring and networking, we're able to create this this sort of Google of the carbon space. And what we're doing here really relies on the intersections between industries. That being said, it's very, very important to us to build traction in each specific sector. And so what that means is that we have our carbon suite built out. At first, we were wondering, like, we have close relationships with some of the major players in the carbon space as well. We've been around just as long as they have. And we also see the limitations of some of our colleagues. And so we've thought about, we've even had the partnership discussion, and we've actually decided to stay away from it because our tool, when we've talked to the same customers, they've said things like, wow, this is a much more extensive solution, or next year we're going to have to replace like what we currently have because right now we're tied in, but this is definitely covering things that I think we weren't covering before. So really what we're doing is focusing in on logistics. We found traction in that. We're finding traction because we're very supply chain focused. We're planning to build greater traction into that this year through an accelerator that we're part of called ZBox, which has relationships with CMA, CEVA. We also have interest from Penske. Then we also will be building into the financed emission space because we have interest from M&T Bank, S2G Ventures, and SJF Ventures. And so we're going to probably start with those two verticals and that financed emissions tool, as well as the supply chain focused logistics tool. So that will be the same tool, just applied to two different sectors. And then beyond that, we're going to continue expanding out to build 10 to 20 clients in each sector, and then let the rest of our salespeople take over from there.
Very clear, thank you.
Perfect. And with that, I think that's all the time we had for questions. It looks like there's a lot of questions in the chat though, so feel free to take a look there and see what you want to answer, what you don't want to answer, and where to follow up. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that concludes the open topic session. And so with that, we are going to quickly introduce the panel for the energy section, which is here. So when I call on you, just quickly, again, even if you've already introduced yourself, just quickly say your name, your organization, and what you're potentially looking for here. And it doesn't have to be too long because there's a lot of people here. So let's try to keep the cadence. But perfect. First, let's have Yoav. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. Yoav Weiser from Next Gear, a venture fund out of Israel, investing in early stage, smart, sustainable mobility startups. So we're looking for interesting companies in the fields of energy and renewable energy, etc.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Yoav. Craig?
Hi, Craig McClellan. I'm with the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario up in Canada. My role is really supporting aerospace and defense opportunities here, and quite interested in the subject matter that we're covering today. So thanks for inviting me to join another one of these, Asher.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Next up, we have Victoria Chernow.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Yeah, Victoria, I'm with an early stage deep tech VC called Playground Global. They're located in Palo Alto, Silicon Valley. My area of expertise is in material science, and through my work with Playground, I'm looking at, companies that are operating in the decarbonization of industry, next generation energy technology, and more broadly adaptation. So yeah, excited to see what is going on. Thanks.
Awesome. Happy to have you. Next up, Ron Crudo.
How's it going, everybody? Ron, I'm over here in South Florida, or sunny South Florida. I'm a part of Charged Ventures. We're an early stage venture studio assisting startups both in the energy and tech space. And so I'm excited to be a part of this. I have a number of relationships and partners in the VC and angel investing space. And so I'm looking forward to meeting some of these great startups. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Next up, Mark Reek.
Hi, I'm Mark Franco with Chemical Angel Network. And the Chemical Angel is a hard science, hard tech angel network, national angel network. And we look for companies that have a chemistry component to the value proposition. And just other news, we did kick off our first member fund this year and are looking to do another half dozen or so investments out of that fund.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you for being here. Next up, we have Maureen.
Hi, everyone. I wear a lot of hats, so for the simplicity of time, I will just say that I invest in and also help commercialize a lot of startups in the clean tech materials chemistry space.
Perfect. Thank you, Maureen. After that, we have Meryl Breitbart.
Hi, I'm Meryl from @One Ventures. We're a seed and Series A venture capital firm that invests in deep tech climate. So we really look at anything from within the climate sector, but have a really strong preference for hardware. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Next up, we have Tito.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tito, based out of Silicon Valley. I work during most of my days at Mitrachem, a battery materials startup developing next generation cathodes on the technical side. But I've also been angel investing for about 3 years now with a very strong focus on deep tech, climate tech, and energy. And also because of my background, a strong focus on Latin America when possible.
Nice. Perfect. Thank you. All right. After that, we have Aaron Moser.
Hey folks, I'm Aaron here with First Light Power. We're a leading renewables platform in the Northeastern United States. First Light, I work in corporate development. About half my time is focused on M&A in the renewables markets and other corporate development tasks, including looking for opportunities to invest in and build strategic partnerships with innovators in the space. So happy to be here. Looking forward to.
Happy to have you.
What's about to come.
Happy to have you. All right. Next up, we have Bill Dong.
Hey, so I'm from Veritas Investments. We're a private equity firm investing in real estate based out of San Francisco. I work on their corporate venture arm and, ESG, clean tech, everything from making buildings more sustainable to helping our residents transition their lifestyle to more climate focused. They're all part of our focus. So it's, exciting to see what we have.
Hi, everyone. Matt Morris here from Vectors Capital. We are a new early stage deep tech fund focusing on industrial scale climate. We invest pre-seed to Series A, and we really like anyone to use fundamental sciences and hard sciences to scale, take our plans at globally.
Perfect. Thank you for being here, Matt. And last but not least, we have Anna Jarman. And if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Anna Jarman. I'm with Walmart Global Tech. We're the tech arm of Walmart, and everything we do is just to enable our company's business. So.
We're going to kick off the session. Solaris will be the first to present. Feel free to start sharing your screen whenever you're ready to go.
Okay, sounds great. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Steve DeBose. I'm with Solaris Smart Energy Solutions. Can everybody see my screen?
I can see it. It's not on presentation mode yet, but that could just be a lag.
Yeah, it is. Hold on. Oops, what is it doing? Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
All good.
All right, can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Solaris Smart Energy Solutions. We are the integrated solutions for solar energy, 100% renewable, for top tier technology with huge market upside. So we are Solaris. Who we are is we design one-stop integrated hot water and energy solutions that are customized to match your energy demand profiles. So at Solaris, we actually collect up to 4 times more total energy from the same surface area, whether it be a roof or whatever, than any other PV installation. Solaris does design each turnkey project with its own proprietary software and modeling to deliver the lowest per kilowatt energy cost over any competition on that same roof space, guaranteed. 4x more CO2 reductions, 3x more profitability versus a regular solar PV installation. We do have a proven track record in installations in Europe and South Africa. Now it's time for us to show the US how much we can do to help. So this is the markets that we live in, whether it's hotels, hospitals, medical facilities, breweries, truck washes, car washes, the industrial manufacturing space, as well as food processing. Give you some of our install bases. These are some of the examples, whether it's a Hyatt in Cape Town, South Africa, truck wash in Spain. We have an aquifer project in the Netherlands, as well as we did do our first Avero Star Hotel that's also in Spain with its first 100% sustainable hot water solution. So key investment highlights. So we do have a massive addressable market with unprecedented government support, especially here in the US, as well as globally, with all those key initiatives out there in the 2035 space. Advanced design and modeling of complete solutions to maximize efficiency and ROI while minimizing our carbon footprints. Comprehensive business models serving our clients across different industries, needs, and sizes, as well as robust growth strategies with a strong profitability profile that really sets us up to enter the US North American market, as well as our entrepreneurial management team with that proven track record of innovation that's backed by our dedicated shareholders. So looking at solar energy technologies with the significant growth potential, you can see that heating and cooling accounts for approximately 50% of total final energy consumption. And the share of total solar energy is less than 1% with a healthy annual growth rate. The electrical demands do vary by region due to the climate and level of economic developments. It really does depend on, different environments versus locations are going to drive the different needs and requirements of our products. 90% of total global solar energy consumption is for residential and commercial buildings. So really, the heating and cooling market does exceed 1,000 billion in 2020, and really is set to register 4% continuous growth rate up through 27. Current market does undergo transformations. These include efforts to reduce air pollution, the health impacts, the decrease in greenhouse gas emissions to meet our climate goals, improve energy access and address energy poverty, as well as increase energy security. The use of solar heat from PVT technologies emerging. The key advantage is this is simultaneous production of not only electricity, but also of heat as well with no emissions. There's another niche market of solar cooling that is also out there that our product can lend to in the future. Right now, there's less than 2,000 solar thermal cooling systems deployed worldwide. So our breakthrough technology at Solara secures 4 times more energy producing electricity and heat. This comes in the power collector AH72. The PVT technology, a hybrid technology combining a PV photovoltaic module as well as a solar thermal collector. As a result, it can convert up to 89% of solar energy into a useful renewable energy. Part into the renewable electric that everybody's used to seeing in typical PV panels, but yet a bigger part is collected into the hot water and heat. And that's what we bring to the table.
30-second warning. Sorry, 30-second warning.
Okay. This breakthrough is with 15 minutes, I'm sorry, $15 million and can produce heat and electricity simultaneously. A lot of this innovation comes from the different shieldings of our modules, the PV and the associated collector and insulation underneath. It does give you the most profitable and effective solar solution in the world. Again, with more than 4x more energy output and long-term savings. Hot water solutions, lowest kilowatt price, guaranteed performance, 100% renewable from your roof, and it's easily integrated into existing systems. You can see here, this is a Hilton installation. This is some of our installed base, and you can see a dramatic difference when we installed our system back in 2019. It was a reduction of up to 75%. And this was with 66 panels integrated with a heat pump. Comparing it to other renewable energies, you can see the vast capabilities that we have here and scaling this project up. And right now, the biggest thing is there's no limitations to the scalability. Moving forward, focusing on direct sales. Right now, 40,000 units per year is our target. And really what we're asking for right now is basically 2 to 5 million in seed money to actually bring to fruition our manufacturing process and facility to hit that 40,000 units per year and establish our penetration into the US marketplace. So this is our financials looking forward and looking at to where we'll be break even by next year. And again, penetrating the US market this year with a goal of 17,000 panels installed by end of year.
We should start wrapping up.
Yep. This is our team moving forward. And again, this is our final slide here is we are looking to 2 to 5 million in the seed round. And then in 6 to 9 months, we're going to be looking then for a Series A to raise another 10 to $15 million to finalize our infrastructure and manufacturing processes. And that's it. Comments or questions?
Perfect. Bill, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so this is obviously interesting because in the multifamily space, especially in states like California, there's a lot of social movement towards getting rid of gas, water heaters, that kind of stuff. So, and also from an economic standpoint, it makes sense to be able to lessen a lot of that load from the building itself. So I'm curious, how does this, if I were to put this onto like an apartment building tomorrow on the roof, how does it interface with the building? Especially, I assume the water part will be pretty easy, but like for the electricity part, how does that get metered? How does that, like a work with bill back for utilities? Can you talk about a bit more about that?
Yeah, the electrical interface is standard PV. There is no differentiation between how this would hook up and how a standard PV panel would hook up to your house or your building. It's the same type of revenue meters or whatever that all the typical utility companies use.
Got it. Thank you.
And interfacing to the building itself, as far as the water, that would be done through basically essentially through storage tanks. And this, for an apartment building or hotel.
Steven, I think you're muted. All right.
Oh,
You
part of
know
my
that?
answer is good.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, it's just PV is the same hookup, and then the water itself is through hot water storage tanks. I'm not sure which one I want to mute or how.
Perfect. Yoav, you're up.
Yes, hi, short question. You mentioned one hotel that uses for 100% of its hot water. So what do you do? Are you using any storage for night hours?
Yes, no, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, the way they get to be self-sufficient is for the night usage, of course, it has to be stored in storage tanks. So that is part of our solution. We give you a total solution where we calculate your complete usage, the number of tanks, pumps, everything you're going to need for that solution.
Thanks. I like the idea of combining the EV and the water heating. My question here, though, is around what's the long-term competitive advantage? You know, where's your IP? Somebody else raised the question, key differentiator.
Okay, so the key differentiator in our IP, and there are certain things that are proprietary, and that is in our thermal absorber solutions and how we make that to the photovoltaic cell itself.
Okay. Perfect. Last question, Tito, you're up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna carry up a little bit on that same question. So what differentiates you from like a local company that has been, doing this implementation work, I guess, on local markets, from, what allows you to take that market share?
PVT in the United States, there are not very many companies out there that are in this space. There are a few, and so there is a lot of market space that is wide open that has not been addressed. This is different from photovoltaic. So PV market, sure, everybody's going solar in their houses, and that's where PV is good for the residential space. For C&I, this is your process, your heating, the hot water you're using for your processes, for whether it's sterilization, for it's just your processes, bottling or whatnot, where you're constantly using thousands and thousands of gallons of water. This is going to save a company a lot of money. It makes the ROI very, very promising. And you actually, this is going to be a moneymaker long-term for any company that does install it right.
Thank you.
Sorry, Bill, unfortunately, we're out of time for questions, but you can ask it in the chat. All right, thank you so much, Stephen. Next up, we have Valgotech. Valgotech, feel free to share your screen when you're ready to present.
Thanks, Asher. Yeah. Just a moment. Ready. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, great. So once again, my name is David Olawale, and I'm the president and founder of Valgotech. And at Valgotech, we are developing high energy density lithium sulfur batteries for both commercial and defense applications. Our portfolio of technology covers ultra-low temperature batteries to lithium metal batteries for drones and aerospace application, and solid-state batteries for electric vehicles. So the problem we're trying to solve is to reduce our dependence on China. So for instance, the Air Force will use batteries to power our munitions. Now, 80% of the world's raw materials for batteries come from China and is commanded by China. So you can imagine that that is not good. If our munitions, the batteries for them has to come from China. Also, the current battery technology, the lithium-ion batteries, we are all aware of the thermal runaway fire issues with lithium-ion batteries. Also, these batteries are very heavy, which is a great disadvantage, especially for aerospace structure. And as I mentioned, lithium-ion batteries, especially the cathode, they use expensive and foreign source raw materials, which is controlled by China, and that poses a great national security risk. So our solution is lithium sulfur batteries. And why lithium sulfur batteries? The first thing is that the theoretical energy density for lithium sulfur battery is 2600 watt-hour per kilogram. Now compare that to that of lithium ion batteries, which is only 570 watt-hour per kilogram. Also, lithium sulfur batteries have enhanced safety. There's a reduction in fire incidences because of the formation of sulfur passivation layer on the lithium anode. Also, we are replacing the expensive and foreign source nickel, manganese, and cobalt with readily locally available sulfur. And to give you a context, 1 ton of cobalt is about $75,000, whereas 1 ton of sulfur costs less than $400. We can see the significant differences. One other benefit of lithium sulfur battery is a high temperature range, especially when you're talking about cold regions of the world like Alaska and Canada. In fact, last week, a company reached out to us for our technology because lithium sulfur acts between -30 to 45 degrees Celsius, which is very, very useful for many applications. And then our lithium sulfur will actually be made in US and not China. On the right, lower right, you can see actual power cells that we actually fabricated and tested at Valgotech. Now, the opportunities and applications for lithium sulfur batteries is very, very wide. Our first target application is the drones. And currently we have about 6 UN drone manufacturers that are waiting to test and integrate our lithium sulfur batteries in their systems. We are also looking at the Air Force, the ammunition system. We're looking with our Space Force for the satellites, and we're looking to the Army to power the electronics being used by soldiers. So the market is huge and is being driven by the increasing demand for drones. So as of 2020, the market size for drone is 13.4 billion. Also, the demand for electric vehicle is also driving the need for alternative to lithium ion batteries. And those are very good for us. We've gained significant traction. We've had over $1.3 million invested in our product development from the National Science Foundation. We won the phase 1 and phase 2, and then from Elevate Ventures. We've invested over $250,000 in the Valgotech Energy Research and Development Center here in Fishers, Indiana, where we are actually able to fabricate power cells and test. We've been leveraging strategic relationship with Purdue, with Sotera, and Elevate to facilitate our rapid product development and go to market. And as I mentioned, we have some customers that are actually waiting to test and integrate our battery into their system. So our team consists of people with both technical and business expertise. So I have over 15 years experience in R&D and technology commercialization. Professor Valos Poe is a global leader in when it comes to batteries, and has 2 world records, Guinness World Record in that area. We have Dr. Poe and Mr. Boyan, who lead our technical battery engineering team. We have David White and Matulale, who lead our finance and administrative aspect. And we are also strongly supported by a very strong board. Danigaro has over 14 years experience in government contracting and DoD sales. Mr. Chuma is an IP lawyer and he guides our intellectual property protection strategy. We have Matt Milligan and Dr. Greg Enix. They are experts in technology commercialization, and Matt Milligan actually have experience in growing in technology startup company. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, and we're looking forward to you partnering with us, helping us to reduce our dependence on China for our battery systems with our lithium sulfur batteries. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Feel free to raise your hand, and okay, Tina, you're up, followed by Victoria.
I have, yeah, I haven't heard you mention about the go-to-market. Do you really plan to build manufacturing or is it licensing? Want to hear more about that.
Thank you, Tina. That's a great question. So our first strategy is to do low volume, high value customers. So like the Air Force, like some of the drone manufacturers, drone manufacturers that are already in touch with us. So we are working. We have our own facility. We also work with Battery Innovation Center. With that, we are able to build low volume. Now, based on that low volume, we like to now partner with bigger companies to help us in scaling up. But our strategy is that we don't want to just fold out and waiting for a big company. We want to start, moving because we have customers that are already interested, want to start moving there so that by the time a bigger partner comes, we are at higher value. So that's our strategy.
Are you racing to build a facility or?
Yes, so we've been working with Elevate Ventures and milestone in our pro development that we're getting into. So we are actually racing. That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Victoria, you're up.
Yeah, thanks, David. I'm kind of curious, are you guys building single layer pouch cells, multi-layer pouch cells, and then also kind of curious about the manufacturing process. Is there anything that you're doing which is incredibly unique? Is this something that can leverage existing manufacturing technologies for lithium ion, or you guys are doing something again quite unique?
Thanks, Victoria. That is great. So in our product development, we use one strategy. We call it superior SPA. That means superior safety, superior performance, and superior affordability. In going with that superior SPA, one of the things that help us to be competitive is to leverage existing lithium-ion battery manufacturing process. So that's very, very important. But also in that process, there's some things that are unique and proprietary to us that we are working on. Also, your question about multi-layer, yes, we're making multi-layer because one of the most important things to our customer is that high energy density. And the only way you can get that high energy density is to use multi-layer cells. So you're right, we're using multi-layer cells.
Great, thank you.
Sure, perfect. Matt, you're up.
Thank you for that. So I guess my question is around how you are maintaining either pouch volume, given typical issues we see with sulfur loss in lithium sulfur batteries.
Matt, please, I missed some of your content. I didn't hear very well. I'm sorry.
My apologies. So how do you protect against capacity loss and sulfur loss typically seen in lithium sulfur batteries?
That is great. That's awesome. And that is what actually makes us unique, solving those problems. There are a number of ways that we are solving that problem. And we are using a systems approach. The key one has to do with electrolyte. Our electrolyte design and the kind of additives that we use, and then also our cathode design. So those working together so that with electrolyte, we are able to have an SCR layer form on our cathode and as well on our anode. So that's the way, that system approach that involves our electrolyte design and our cathode design, that is the way we are solving that problem. Thank you, that's great.
Perfect. Tito, you're up.
Yeah, I would like to ask you, what's preventing Valgotech for trying to go into other bigger and potentially more lucrative markets like the EV or ESS, if you're being able to achieve the capacity loss and with a more safer and less expensive battery?
Thank you. So Matt raised a very important issue or challenging issue, which has to do with that capacity loss that we are working on. So our strategy is to go from drone and then from drone go to the Air Force satellite, because we actually have Space Force that reach out to all that they want to use. Now, EV is our last market. And the reason for that is that for EV, you need thousands of cycles to be able to get into that space. So, but for aerospace application, we have the Air Force, people that are reaching out to us. Their first priority is the high energy density. So going into drones, it's not carrying people, it's low risk, it's very easy for us to get into and go into, then moving into satellites. So those aerospace, where they prioritize high energy density over cycle life, those are our first target market. And then as we generate revenue from those, we are continuing our development in increasing our cycle life to be able to move into EV. So that's our strategy.
Are you being able to achieve a high discharge rate with sulfur?
What do you mean by you talk about the IC rate? Yes. So currently we are working on two technologies simultaneously. There is one that is not high discharge rate. There's another technology that we are working on that's based on high discharge rate. So it's going to be based on the application and what our customer needs. But we have two technology that's suited for both.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
You have the last question for Valgotech.
Yes, two. Just you've solved the polysulfide shuffle issue?
We are working on it. We are not 100% savvy. We are working on it and making great progress.
And then what's your target price that you think you'll get to per kilowatt?
So when we did our study for the drone, so the commercially available battery for drones, I've forgotten the name, is from China. So the price range is from about 900 to about 1,800. So we are targeting to be about $1,300. That is our kilowatt hour.
$100. Okay.
No. It's in terms of kilowatt hour. So the what is on the market from China for drones is between 900 to 1,800. So we are targeting to be between 900 and 1,300 per kilowatt hour.
All right, that's pretty high price.
So we are basing it on what is in the market for drones. So what is currently in the market is between 900 to 1,800. So we are targeting 900 to 1,300.
All right, well, glad to talk to you some more. We do fund battery technologies. It's not for everybody.
Yes.
It's a complex area.
Yes,
Perfect.
especially the low volume when you first start. So after you go bigger, you can be able to lower the price. But the first entry, that's our target.
Perfect. All right. That wraps it up. Thank you so much, David. Next up, we have Moment Energy.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. It's nice to meet everybody. Nice to see some familiar faces as well. I'm Eddie. I'm one of the 4 co-founders here at Moment Energy, as well as the CEO. So the problem that we're solving is when we looked into what happens to electric vehicle batteries at end of life, we found that 95% of EV batteries are not properly being disposed of. Only 5% are really being recycled. And when we really dug into why, we are a company based here in Vancouver, Canada, and we found out that consumers are being charged thousands of dollars here to get their own vehicles scrapped and recycled. It's really because recycling processes still need to improve, and really other countries are ahead of us here in North America. So in China and also in half of all EU countries, it is already mandated by law that the automaker has to take responsibility of their own end-of-life batteries, while us here in North America, it is still on the consumer. Now, luckily and not surprisingly, California has passed a law in 2022 to mandate automakers have to take responsibility, and now on the federal level, the US federal level, it's passed the House. So a lot of automakers are now starting to see, okay, we're gonna have to pay this bill for recycling. Well, what are other solutions there? And that's really where Moment comes in. as we see more and more EVs being produced and more end-of-life EV batteries becoming available, by 2030, there's going to be 200 to 300 gigawatt hours of end-of-life batteries a year in supply that really don't have a home in terms of recycling. And so therefore, Moment, what we do is we ensure that there is a home. Additionally, what we do is we found that there's an average of 80% life left in these batteries before when they reach end of life in an electric vehicle. So why are we even throwing these batteries away if we can actually give these batteries a second life? And that's exactly what we're doing. We're repurposing these EV batteries into stationary energy storage. And the markets that we're really addressing is the commercial industrial application, because we find that this market is perfect for EV batteries. Now, this can still be split into two halves. One is off-grid commercial industrial. So these are remote lodges, mining sites, aquaculture sites, where they have a huge diesel generator, and we've been able to reduce their diesel consumption between 40 to 75%, which has been really great, as well as on-grid markets. So these are manufacturing buildings, EV charging stations, commercial industrial towers, where they face demand charges. We can help them with peak demand response as well. We really focus in the distributed energy type space. And overall, as we all know here, the energy storage market is huge. And what we really focus on is this commercial industrial application. So 100 kilowatt hours to 5 megawatt hours is really where we see the sweet spot. The reason why we're not addressing residential is because we found that residential, although they're willing to pay a lot, dollar per kilowatt hour, every single home is slightly different. So we're even seeing battery providers like Tesla move away from this industry. And where everybody really is flooding into is utility scale, football fields worth of energy storage. And at the same time, although that's great, we see that it's a fight to the bottom. Whoever has the cheapest batteries win. And for us, because we're utilizing batteries that come from EV, not only are we cheaper, but we're also have higher power output. Because in an EV application, these batteries are on the chemical level meant to discharge 5 to 8 times greater discharge rates than even new lithium that you would buy from China. So you can see here in a photo, we've already created systems that are completely islanded. They can charge off of the grid, solar, diesel energy, whatnot, and we can actually drop this battery pack in the middle of a field and charge an EV, and that's exactly what we're doing here in this photo. For us, we also work directly with automakers. We're the only Canadian company working with Nissan, but we're also the only North American company working with automakers like Mercedes, another European automaker, and an Asian automaker based here in North America. So you can kind of guess who they are. And what they do is they will collect their batteries at end of life and disassemble it from the pack level to the module level. And they will test each module to see if they're good enough for repurposing. If they're above 50% state of health, typically that's counted as good enough. But here at Moment, we have such a huge supply of batteries that we're very picky. And we say, don't give us any batteries below 80% state of health. Then what we do is we reassemble everything in-house into a form factor that's suitable for a building. And this is our form factor. So one of our Flora systems, this is named after a local mountain here in Vancouver, is a 48 kilowatt hour usable capacity. To put in perspective, a Tesla Powerwall is between 9 to 14 kilowatt hours. So one of our systems, which is about 1.5 meters tall, a bit over 1.5 meters wide, and 1.5 feet deep, these cabinet systems can power multiple homes. And we can drop them into neighborhoods, remote communities, into a very large home if needed. We win because we are 2/3 the cost. Again, I mentioned we have 5 to 8 times discharge capabilities at maximum. So for a lot of high power applications, what we call a 1 hour duration applications, we really beat even new lithium in those applications. We have our own machine learning AI battery management system specific for second life, as well as our customers see us more environmentally friendly because now we're not mining and refining new lithium for stationary storage. And compared to other second life companies, we're not just sitting in a lab cycling 1 or 2 modules or cells. We've actually, from day one, deployed projects across North America, which has been super exciting. And now we have projects with utilities. We're powering neighborhoods and EV charging stations in Ottawa, for example. We have a project with the Canadian, US, and New Zealand Department of National Defense as well for islanding reasons. And we have megawatt hours in distributed energy for manufacturing projects secured as well. To wrap things up in the last couple slides, so far we've risen about 10 million in dilutive and non-dilutive funding. We're supported by the leading venture capital firms in North America, as well as Japanese corporates that are utilities and materials companies to really help in both us scaling our manufacturing processes all the way to they're buying a lot of our systems as well. These are the beautiful co-founders where I helped co-found this team with 3 of my best friends, where we've had the background having worked at Tesla. I've worked at nuclear energy research for the Canadian government at Apple, as well as luckily grew the team from the 4 of us 3 years ago working out of garage to now we're a team of 35 working out of a 15,000 square foot manufacturing facility and continuing to scale another 11 this year. So we're really excited to connect with each and every one of you, either if it's on pilot projects. We are always looking for partners to deploy projects with, as well as investment or partnerships and scaling and whatnot as well. So thanks so much for your time, and I love any questions.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Edward. All right, Tom, you're up first.
Yes, Edward, good to see you again and
Good
hear
to see
about the progress. How do you test the batteries? Do you have a way to quickly assess how attractive, what the state of condition is of the battery, or do you have to sit and cycle it yourself over a couple of days?
Amazing question. So that's actually one benefit to working directly with the automaker. The automaker will first test themselves in-house. Now we're also a team of engineers with trust issues, so we actually have our own testing facility. Right now we have 8 extremely high-powered cyclers all running, and we've accidentally developed one of the top battery test labs in North America on the module and pack level side. So we don't have cyclers just cycling at the cell level, we're cycling a much greater power. And we've accidentally become experts at testing. Honestly, we didn't want to be, but for manufacturing purposes, it was required. But yeah, if there are other companies out there that have, we've developed our own algorithms, but if they have algorithms in terms of speeding things up, making things even more accurate, then great, we'd love to work with them. But yeah, in-house, we do have our own algorithms as well.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Perfect. Matt, you're up.
Great seeing you again as well. So just to kind of touch base on the actual battery themselves, are you guys chemistry agnostic? Have you guys assembled these batteries? And then 2, even with that, how do you guys account for degradation in the systems over time once they're put on the ground?
Yeah, good question. So one major aspect, one is yes, we are chemistry agnostic. That's really where our battery management system portion comes in and why these automakers chose to work with us. A lot of people are very hyper-focused typically on one automaker, which is Nissan. And having worked with Nissan for 3 years, we know that they themselves don't have enough supply for a single company at the moment to scale. So that's why we developed the battery management system to be able to take in batteries that are NMC, LFP, and even when it changes, such as solid state is something that everybody's excited about for EVs as well, we'll be able to adapt to that. And additionally, to answer that final question is, that's exactly where the BMS algorithms kind of come in. We've had them validated by Google, which has been awesome. And we continuously pull the battery to see what the actual degradation of the battery is, and then we can actively manage it. So why is that important? Well, there are other companies out there that believe if you have 2 second life batteries, one, and they're both 90% state of health, that they will degrade the exact same. And at the moment, we don't believe that that's exactly the case, because maybe it took 10 years, maybe your grandmother, grandfather took 10 years, charged it, babied the vehicle, and it degraded 10%. But then maybe there's another person who just supercharged the crap out of their vehicle and it took 2 months to get 10% degradation. Both of those first life applications in the EVs could cause the batteries to degrade at very different rates, even when you put it in a second life application, which is why for us, we built in the constant polling and constant active balancing to make sure that if it does degrade differently, we will put more stress on the higher quality batteries, less stress on lower quality batteries.
Perfect. Tina, you're up.
Yeah, maybe Edward, just want to pick your brain on the topic a little bit, like how do you see the long-term competition playing out? Because a lot of battery recycling company, the top 3, right? They secure at least $500 million either from direct grant from IRA or the loan guarantee to increase the capacity and scaling. And one thing about recycling battery is that you get the material back brand new versus a second life. Then, as you mentioned, you don't know the degradation mechanism of the remaining life. Would that, sort of put the constraint for the fact that then you have to warranty the products and you may not know how quickly it will degrade after that. So what do you see as the, so for you to be really profitable and avoid competition with recycling, are you limited by picking a certain chemistry like LFP that people wouldn't want to recycle because there's no low margin and things like that? Yeah, want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, so all really great questions. First of all, we are partnered with all the main recyclers out there because we are committed to making sure all our batteries are recycled properly. We're also, so for us, we are willing to actually pay for these batteries much more than any recycler would be, because the commodity cost of lithium, even the cobalt or the nickel, is just one small line item in our cost of goods sold, in our bill of materials. If recycling made more sense compared to energy storage systems, then nobody would ever actually create energy storage systems. They just trade the commodity. Now, the billions of dollars that are going into recycling, I believe is actually needed, because when we talk to the recycling partners, they currently have zero path to profitability in terms of, like you said, LFP. And they're constantly panicking when it comes to all the EV manufacturers are transitioning from NMC to LFP. And even though our recycling partners now, we have a very symbiotic relationships where they're our suppliers and we're their suppliers. We would trade batteries where the batteries that are above 80% state of health, or maybe above 70% state of health, they'll come to Moment. And then when our batteries drop below that threshold as well, we'll give it back to the recyclers. Final aspect is there's going to be 300 gigawatt hours a year of end-of-life EV batteries, and all recyclers, including ourselves, each single company wants to be able to take on all these batteries, but we won't be able to. And that's why we really encourage more recyclers to come in, more Second Life companies to come in, because it's going to take a village to make sure that these batteries reach end of life. Yeah, I hope that kind of answers your questions. But LFP is very, very appealing on the Second Life side as well. Recyclers are really struggling with that and are asking us to help them with that as well.
Perfect. Last question, Joe.
Yeah, so as you're looking at a manufacturing play, are you thinking of assembling these systems in North America or locally to whatever market you're going to target? And then the other question, just real quick, is what are you thinking to do after the battery fails? Is it going to be you who takes care of the asset, or is it going to be sort of a burden in your customer?
Good question. So right now we're manufacturing in Vancouver. So we're actually on track because we work directly with UL, where we're going to be the first and only Second Life company with UL certification for Second Life, which means that any company, any automaker that ever wants to repurpose their own EV batteries will actually have to send their batteries to us in Vancouver. We will go through our process, and then that battery is now certified to be put into a Second Life system. Our first goal next year is we're moving into a greater than 100,000 square foot manufacturing facility in the Midwest, in the US, where we're close to the US supply. And we already have Japanese as well as European partners that want us to set up facilities there. It is very similar to, let's say, Li-Cycle's hub and spoke model. You can kind of guess who we're pretty close to right now. Now, because of those close partnerships in recyclers, as well as the largest mining company in batteries in the world, with those partnerships, we actually are working with them to make sure that our batteries and our customers' batteries that reach end of life are being properly recycled. So we already have these partnerships and logistics baked in, where we have our partners that can come and pick up the battery from the customer site. And in the 10 to 15 years timeframe, when our systems reach end of life, it's expected that nobody really makes too much money. Like Moment isn't going to get a huge check from recyclers. Recyclers won't make a huge amount of money either, but at least they can pick up batteries up for free, which is very similar to the lead acid battery market.
Perfect. Thank you, Edward.
Thank you so much.
That's all we have time for. But thank you. Feel free to leave your information in the chat. Next up, we have NanoSense.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So My name is Oren Gabrieli. I'm the CEO and co-founder for NanoSyn. I'm a mechanical engineer in my background. I also teach yoga once a week. You're welcome to join a class if you're ever in Israel. But what we're here to talk about is our sensors and NanoSyn's sensing technology. So NanoSyn developed a very unique sensor, which is capable of detecting molecules in the air. And it's a very sensitive sensor as well. It's sensitive as low as parts per billion, which that means like it's like a drop of water in a big pool. It works by a chemical a mesh that we've developed of metallic core with organic capping. And here you can see an enlargement of it with the scanning electron microscope. We have 13 patents. We've worked on it for about 5 years. We're now focused on the hydrogen quality monitoring, and we'll talk about this market and this use case which we're launching with. The platform is very, very flexible. I mean, we can work in different industries with it. So overall, I mean, for such sensing technology, you have use cases in energy and healthcare, food and beverage, and other use cases. We're focused more in the energy sector, or what people call today climate tech. We won in 2019 the Climate Change Innovator Award at the Consumer Electronics Show. We've been working on this for a few years. And within this sector, we've chosen to focus on hydrogen monitoring. So hydrogen monitoring, I mean, has a few also applications in it when we're looking at the hydrogen, I mean, as a potential, I mean, energy carrier. And we're focused on actually on the fuel cell side of things, on the fuel cell or supply of hydrogen for fuel cells, hydrogen quality. So what happens when you're looking at the hydrogen side for fuel cell, it really needs very pure and very clean hydrogen at 99.999% purity. And this is something that is very hard to obtain. Also, any part like oxygen or H2O or carbon monoxide could ruin the fuel cell really quickly. And when we're looking at this market, it's a growing market. It already, there are hundreds of hydrogen refueling stations worldwide, and US is investing heavily in it. Europe just announced this week that they will demand every 200 kilometers hydrogen refueling station. So we're seeing this to be a growing market. This is mandated by law in EU now. And the way that the current process works is that there's, let's say, a lab. You can imagine like a big lab that requires a PhD or some smart person who operates lab equipment, such as GCMS and DuPont devices and other devices for monitoring gases. And it's usually, at a good day, it's a turnaround of 48 hours, and it's costing thousands of dollars. So it's not scalable for where this market is headed. Not a scalable, I mean, option. That's where NanoSyn comes in. NanoSyn comes in with VOCID, which stands for volatile organic compound identification. And here we have H2Confirm, which is specifically a service we've designed for this product. It provides a response within 3 minutes. Cost per measurement is up to $50. It's all real-time data shared on the cloud, providing also transparency, so you can track it along the supply chain with certificates and also some explosion proof. And we're seeing good demand, I mean, good traction. I mean, with more than 100 customers that have approached us since we announced our launch earlier this year. We're focused now on our first commercial pilots, working with companies like ZeroAvia, who are doing an airplane which is powered by hydrogen. There, the quality of hydrogen is critical, because imagine, the aircraft is moving from one field to another field, and it's fueled by a truck. And to fuel this truck, you want to make sure that the quality is good. Similarly, working with a few other European companies like NG and Enel. So this is kind of overall about the hydrogen use case. I mean, the company has a team of 20 employees. We're based in the north of Israel, where we have a clean room, class 100. We have chemical lab facilities, algorithmic team, and also probably one of the most advanced state-of-the-art labs for simulating different scenarios. So actually, in order to measure something, you need to simulate it. And measuring like parts per billion of oxygen and a background of hydrogen is also a safety issue and also very complicated to simulate. And this is something NanoScent has a lot of expertise in doing, alongside with this capability of developing different sensing elements. In terms of our company from a corporate structure, we have chairman has been the president, past president of Checkpoint. Satoshi Okamoto represents Sumitomo Chemicals, which is an investor, a large investor into NanoScent. And Adamo Screnchi, who is a veteran of 25 years in the hydrogen market, just joined us. You also see on the left here a picture of a happy team most of the time. Try to be a happy team. So that's kind of, I mean, NanoScent in a nutshell. We're now raising capital. We have, to date, we raised $10 million, mostly by Sumitomo Chemical, but also DreamTech has participated, and another $10 million in non-dilutive grants from the European Innovation Committee and the Israeli Innovation Authority. We're now looking for $3.5 million in order to fill in a $7 million round, which is mainly geared towards commercialization and starting to generate revenues and profit and loss. We already have a term sheet that is signed by the ESC to co-invest in this round with equity. So this is NanoScent in a nutshell. Thank you for listening. My my email address is oren@nanoscentlabs.com, and my phone is here. But really, I mean, we need to make sure that we're using science properly. Not really in order to capture it, but more really to live in it. And this is what we're committed towards doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Oren. All right, let's queue up the questions. Feel free to raise your hand. We'll get to them in the order that your hand is raised. Sure, Mark, go right ahead.
Hey, this is not a direct energy sensing application, but can you also detect NOxs? And
Yeah,
more for environmental.
So when we're looking at our product roadmap, we also have a plan and looking at NOxs. The challenge here is separating sometimes the background environment, which is often, with a lot of humidity. One of the diseases of these sensors inherently are humidity, but we also have a pretty good proof of concepts to overcome that. For the time being, we decided to focus on the hydrogen background because it's easier it's just dry. And there's a market. Thank you for the question.
Sorry, guys, I was talking to myself again. I seem to be doing that. Oren, if you want to talk a little bit more about some of the other use cases, feel free to to expound on that, because I think that could be interesting for some of the folks here. And then otherwise we'll move on. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we can expand on that a lot because this is a platform technology. When we're looking at the overall market, if we're building it up from hydrogen quality and increasing, and within the hydrogen space itself, there are use cases for monitoring hydrogen leaks. So hydrogen leaks is a big issue, a big concern, because hydrogen itself is contributing to greenhouse warming. So you want to make sure that there aren't any leaks, and that's a big issue that is now coming up. There's also a hydrogen measuring hydrogen and oxygen background when you're doing any crossover for electrolyzer production. And a lot of the supply chain, when you're looking, there's a blend now planned for methane, partially methane and partially hydrogen. So this is a big also growth market plan. There's networks that are being built in North Europe now, also in other places. So these are the hydrogen use cases in general we're looking at. Looking at the energy market, what we call is as Mark asked, and the air quality aspect is a big market. I mean, and the pollution and air quality are big markets to go out there. And the leak detection is another big market, which is looking at. So these are the markets, I mean, NanoScent is focused as a company and a brand promoting. But in addition, we have partnerships more in the healthcare field that are longer term with some other Japanese companies as well, relating more towards healthcare. We've done a lot of projects in that space in the past. relating towards issues of healthcare and disease diagnostics. But this is like longer term projects which are funding us nicely, but our product focus has been more geared towards the energy market, and that's what we're looking to fund now in this coming round. So thank you, Usher.
Yeah, thank you so much, Oren. So feel free to leave your contact in the chat. With that, we finish off the energy session. And next up is the clean tech session. Because we are running a little bit behind, what we're going to do for this next section is instead of going through and meet the panel, what we're going to do is that whenever a panelist asks a question, what we're going to have is that they should quickly introduce themselves before they ask the question, just so everyone knows who's speaking and has some background on whoever's asking the question, so they know better how to answer it. So that's what we'll do going forward. To start off the clean tech session, we are going to have WeGreen presenting. WeGreen, the floor is yours. When you're ready, feel free to share your slides, and we should get this session rolling.
All right, let's get this going. Can you all see my screen?
We can see it, but it's not on presenter mode yet. Presentation mode. Yeah, there it is.
Perfect. All right. Hey, thanks a lot. So we are WeGreen. We sell solar faster, cheaper, and easier. And by solar, I mean residential solar specifically. So the question is really, why do we need a WeGreen? And the opportunities are many. So if you look at it on a federal level in the US, the Biden administration has set a goal of 40 million residential household installations. Today in the United States, we have 4 million. There's an opportunity. We look at corporate ESG, so you look at the Fortune 1000 companies, increasingly, they are focused on their environmental, social governance, and WeGreen has programming to help them meet their goals. And then we just look at the simple fact that in the US, we are simply using more energy, period. Whether it's electric vehicles that we're charging, to speak nothing of our phones and other gadgets, but we're using energy constantly, and the utilities need this energy. So they're looking to us to help make their virtual power plants. WeGreen is the solution. We are a service, a software as a service that helps sell solar faster, easier, and cheaper. In essence, we have an intuitive step-by-step grassroots outreach software that mobilizes company employees, mobilizes communities and NGOs to actually achieve their sustainability and ESG goals. We are on the front lines of the clean economy. We're providing a campaign in a box. So quite frankly, how do we make our money? In the United States today, there are roughly about 20 what we would call solar lending companies. They actually are our clients. They pay us for signed contracts, about $1,000 for a signed contract. We also have some cases where they pay us by the watt, but $1,000 per signed contract, not if signed contract for the loan, but a signed contract for solar. That's how we make money, because then we partner that with our partner channels, the Fortune 1000 companies that then ask us to come into their company and help educate their employees to become more sustainable, to get solar. And when you talk like that, we have communications channels and we have income. Today already, we are working for the largest law firm in the world, and in the US has about 20,000 employees. We're working for a 19,000 employee property management company. We're working for one of the top 20 banks in the United States with 16,000 employees. And in Connecticut, we're working in 20 cities and towns already. All of these folks are getting solar, and we're getting paid every single time. So really, what is it? We help create, we manage, and we organize outreach campaigns that work within the companies and within their communities. We project manage, and they're volunteers, and we have, this is people, peer-to-peer, friend-to-friend, neighbor-to-neighbor, where we're actually getting behavior change to make the decisions. And then we funnel them all to our website. That's a white labeled website for the campaign, for the company, for the community. In essence, we're building trust, which is a key component to buying solar. We're reducing the complexity. If any of you have bought solar, you know how complex it is. We decrease the cost, and we inspire action. And we tested it, and we revised it, and we tested it, and we tested it, and it works. This slide is the results part one. Look at the hockey stick in the orange. That is in the state of Connecticut. And I can send you this deck later if you want to look at that deeper. We work very closely with the Yale School of Environment and the Stern School of Business at NYU. They measure and verify our work. They say we increase our solar adoptions by 1,000% with this program. More interestingly, the conversion rate, solar installers in the US today convert at about 6%. So if you say you want solar and then you get solar, that conversion rate is about 6%. We do it at 14%, more than double. Increase, and as important, if not more than again, is the customer acquisition cost. Today in the United States, customer acquisition cost for solar is measured by the watt, and today it's around 30 cents per watt. We have done it for as low as 11 cents per watt. This is somewhat of a complex graph here. I just wanted to show you though, in 20 weeks, in these campaigns we run, the programs we run at 20 weeks, in 20 weeks, in 3 programs, we took in over $300,000. That's interesting. That's fun money. Just think about scaling that to 1,000 campaigns or 100,000 campaigns. More interestingly, if you look at the lead data, we have 890 people came into that program in 20 weeks. This is a green data machine. In essence, what we're collecting is information, utility information about Americans who want to go green. We do enough of this, I can even tell you who they vote for. We lower the cost to run sustainability campaigns. We collect data. We expand the business opportunities for solar installers and loan companies. And it is the first green campaign in a box. What we're looking for is $4 million in investment to actually take us to the next level. What we've created is the MVP. We now need to really update that and make that cutting edge. We also want to build capacity within our company so that then we can get more customers, more Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 companies to be part of this and help sustain America. And that's We Green. My name is Brian Keene, and I'd love to answer any questions.
That's the first question.
Hi, so I've been interested in this sector for years, so we're glad to see your company and take a look at it. But I've funded Energy Sage. I've been involved with several of the residential installers. Aren't you coming to them? Do you think there's still opportunity here at the front end? And do you do more than just produce the leads? Like, do you proactively buy lists and do outbound marketing to find?
So I'd say it like this, and we work very closely with Energy Sage over the years. And I've been specifically in this industry for about 24 years. What this does is and the research this is based on is what we've done with Yale and NYU to actually show what makes people say they get solar. Keep in mind, if you get 100 people in a room that say they want solar, only 20 of them can actually get solar. And then of that 20, we're down to people who actually have the finances and the resources to do it. So it's a real tricky game. The way it works today, the best way to sell solar is peer-to-peer, friend-to-friend, neighbor-to-neighbor. You are more likely, in fact, I'd say you're 64% more likely to buy solar if your colleague at work has bought solar. You're more likely to buy solar if your next door neighbor has solar. That's what this is playing on, and this is why this works. So we don't just buy lists and random lists and send and give leads. We actually go into the communities, work with the activists, the folks who are already engaged in this issue, and get them to market to their peers. And that's why we get $1,000 for a signed contract, not 30 cents for a lead. And just on Energy Sage as well, we work very close with them. We have campaigns that we've done with them. And what's really interesting, you can see, is we have to remove the complexity. With Energy Sage, which I like a lot, if you say I want solar, you will get a call you'll get 10 different phone calls from 10 different solar installers. We RFP at the beginning so that if you say you want solar, you get one call from a vetted solar installer who is proven within your community to have been successful and will give you the rate that we negotiated on behalf of your company.
Perfect. Fern, you're up.
Hey, Brian, thanks so much for the presentation. My name is Fern, chemical engineer by training. I've spent time in investment banking and venture capital in the last 4 or so years as an operator in the energy space. I wanted to understand a little more about the defensibility of your business model. Is your unique expertise kind of any certain skills or SaaS platforms that would be challenging for others to build, or is your defensibility really your user base and your partnerships? Thank you.
So good question. And no, it's really based on the research that we've done over the past 10 years. That research, which is really kind of the core of is what we call our Solarize campaign, to actually understand how people make a solar decision and actually go through with that solar decision. And again, most people say they want solar, and truthfully, most people don't get solar. So the trick in the solar industry is how can we get them to actually make that purchase faster and faster and faster? And what's embedded within the We Green platform is that research to actually do that outreach to get to those specific people, to use those people who already have solar and use their influence to actually get their friends and neighbors to get solar. And we've been able to scale this dramatically, which is really pretty exciting. So we know for a fact that 70% of employees trust their company to give them information today. They know, and more so, by the way, than their faith community or the media. They trust their company. So we go in through the company, and you then have the CEO, you have the senior leaders, the senior managers saying, this is important to our company, it's important to our community, and it's important to you. And you are more likely then to make an action like this when it's coming from that top down. And meanwhile, on the bottom up, the platform helps us engage with people who have solar, engage with people who are in the sustainability realm to help move people along, as we say, this food chain of sustainability.
Thanks, Brian.
Perfect. Do you have a question?
I did have questions, but Brian answered them in the last couple of responses. So thank you, Brian.
Perfect. All right, Lisa, you're up.
Hi, Lisa Dufresne, GC Ventures. We're the corporate venture team for PTT Global Chemical. I have a question about the way that the financing work, not the financing, but the pricing. So do you find that people don't want one price, even if you're telling them it's a reduced price, but they want to see multiple quotes so that they feel like they're getting the best value for wherever they live?
Excellent question. They will say that, yes, they say they want multiple pricing, they want competition, and yet they get furious when they get 4, 5, 10 different phone calls from 10 different installers giving them 10 different prices, and they think that they're being scammed. We know they're not being scammed. We know people are offering different products and services, but what the consumers are really saying is they want competition in the marketplace. So what we do is, prior to launching the program, we do an RFP for local solar installers, and we identify the price, and we say, look, and we want to know how long you've been in business, how many installs have you done in the community, can you actually do the capacity to put these amount of solar up, because we're going to get a lot of solar into your system. So we do an RFP, we pick one at the front end, and oftentimes we'll do that with the green team from the companies we're working with or the communities we're working with. They have volunteer green teams. We'll work with them, pick that one solar installer, and that helps that ease go through so fast. Your next question may be, how about all the other solar installers, and aren't they mad? And they aren't, because the way we snowball this is they know that the solar installer that just got selected is going to be overwhelmed with this campaign. And we're going to then start the next one in their community, and we're going to need the next best solar installers. Oftentimes, by the way, while we pick one solar installer, the capacity continues to be an issue. So we'll have 2 or 3 on standby that we can use as well. Key is they also have to give a consistent pricing, because what you don't want is someone in accounting in San Diego to be saying to someone in HR in Boston that, wow, like you got a better deal than I got. And so that's a really important piece, and we kind of help navigate that. It's really fascinating how it works, and fascinating to get underneath the consumers when they say they want competition and realize that, oh, that's going to confuse them.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. And feel free to leave your contact information in the chat. Really great presentation. Next up, we have Scott presenting from Dasco. Scott, the floor is yours when you're ready. Feel free to just start sharing your screen. Scott, I can't hear you.
Do you have me now?
I have you now. We just don't have your screen up yet. But
I can get it up here.
yeah, sure.
Do some gyrations there to find you. All right.
Exactly. All good.
My apologies, team.
You want me to share from my end?
Yeah, if you can, go ahead, Asher, because I've lost it somewhere here.
Okay, that's totally fine. Looks like you got something. No, it's not the,
See if I can get to where we need to be.
sure. Otherwise, I have it up. Let me know.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, can you see my screen?
I see your screen. I don't see the presentation. There we go. All right, let's go quickly here because we wasted a lot of time.
No, you're good.
Scott Ensminger with Dasco Inc. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about how we make biochar better. Dasco is a distribution company and it's been involved in the fertilizer and industrial animal feed business for about 26 years. And we've recently branched over into innovative technology to solve problems that we've seen a lot of our partners, both as suppliers and as end users, come up with. And so biochar is one that has risen to the top for us in the last couple of years. Biochar effectively is a designer carbon or charcoal. It's the pyrolyzation of wood in our case to manufacture a product that is highly functional, both physically and chemically. And that lends itself to engineering, which is what we do with it. In this case specifically, excuse me, we make a nitrate reduction product for water. Next slide, please. Why would we do that? Nitrates in water cause a number of health and environmental issues. One of them would be blue baby disease in young children. Others are eutrophication, along with phosphates that cause algal blooms, toxic algal blooms, which impact the health of both terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems and cause a lot of other issues in the environment. Next, please. We work with partners who use biomass sources, wood specifically, from sources like beetle-killed pine, where there's tens of millions of acres in the West of beetle-killed pine these days. And those forests are quickly becoming a carbon source rather than a carbon sink environmentally. We use recycled railroad ties. The process removes a lot of the toxic that come along with those things, as well as waste wood from industrial and commercial processes like wood pallets. The value of biochar and making better biochar is to create what we believe are virtuous, profitable value chains with the product that we manufacture. We call it EBC 5280. It's a remediation product for removal of nutrients in water. That's the beginning of that cycle. Secondly, when it's used and when its life cycle and as remediation has been completed, it can be returned to the soil and it functions there in nutrient cycling, managing nutrient flows and cycle to enhance crop production. It has very high water retention capabilities so that it helps manage water cycles in the soil. And it has a high carbon sequestration value. It's a carbon negative product. We take carbon positive decaying wood and we turn it into a carbon negative product for remediation. Next, please. So EBC 52 is a collaboration between us and some of our research partners. It's about 40 times more effective as a nutrient removal tool in water than any other adsorbent we're aware of today. It has a very significant lead relative to that compared to activated carbon or other biochars. It can be regenerated multiple times, very simply and economically on site if necessary. It's used as a soil amendment when it's finished, so it doesn't have to go into a landfill, and it does have that high sequestration rate when placed in the soil. Next, please. How does Dasco do what we do? We think of ourselves as an aggregation platform. We effectively collect people and technologies. Because of our broad base and our other industrial and business activities, we have access to a lot of entrepreneurs, principal investigators, manufacturers, engineers, suppliers, people that have problems that need to be solved and solutions that they have to offer to solve those problems. We focus on helping them do that. Next, please. Our strength really is in our curiosity. We look for people that are interesting, that have something to add to the equation, and we look for people that have problems and need those problems solved. We look in academia, we work directly in R&D, we fund our own as well as work cooperatively. We seek out entrepreneurs aggressively to add to our cadre of competent partners. And we are capable of manufacturing, and there we go, capable of manufacturing, logistics, and distribution internally, some of our skills. Next, please. Our team, our core team consists of a number of very experienced people in distribution, supply, logistics, and increasingly some of the deep sciences. We add to our team as we need, reach outside for research and development, as well as other expertise. Next, please. And as far as asks go, today we're self-funded in all of our basic R&D, plant design and manufacturing. But we are looking specifically for collaboration partners in a number of categories. We're ready to scale up with EBC 5280. We have market-ready partners that want to put it into stormwater, wastewater, and drinking water design. And we're always looking for new partners to do R&D with. So that's a bit of the quick overcap of who we are and what we do. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Scott. And it looks like David has the first question, followed by Keith.
Hey, Scott, two questions here. I was a little confused on the organizational structure. Are you a spin out of this larger industrial fertilizer company, or are you kind of a small team working inside of it? And then second question I had for you is, talk to me about the main buyer for the actual product.
Yeah, as far as are we a large anything? No, we're a relatively small company. The team you see there is the general managing group of the company, and we're partners in that company. And so we rely on each other's skill sets to be able to advance some of the work we're doing today and reach outside for that. The end customer today looks to be primarily municipalities and stormwater end users. That's one. We're working with the EPA right now. We're in EPA trials in Cincinnati, Ohio. That is for municipal wastewater treatment. We're working with EPA function in California, that one specifically on stormwater. Drinking water will be next once we get through NSF certifications. We believe that we have a really high value source for point of use drinking water remediation for nitrates.
Perfect. You're out.
Okay, great. Thanks, Scott. My question is around business model. Are you just selling your products right now, or have you been able to develop any kind of recurring revenue or value-based pricing based on the quite varying degrees of value that you provide to your different customers?
Yeah, likely the way this is going to go today, we're direct selling to a few customers as we pilot and scale up. We see that as being one part of the value chain. Further on, we expect that as this scales, we will likely license the technology, the know-how to make this product. It's a very sensitive product, and the process is, well, it's simple and elegant. It is a valuable secret that we have, and we believe we'll be able to market that as a licensed product.
Perfect. Takeo, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. My name is Takeo Ikeda. I'm manager of the CBC in DIASHI. DIASHI is a Japanese chemical company. My question is could you tell me a little bit more about your value proposition of the biochar compared to the other biochar company? What's the special about your the technology and the biochar?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We think it's a real differentiator. In the biochar world today, we see a lot of people that are manufacturing and they're offering what I consider to be a generalized value proposition for the biochar. It's supposed to solve everybody's problems in every way. We don't look at it that way. We look at creating a very specific value-added product from biochar to solve a specific problem. We believe that the product has to have standalone value in the marketplace. If you look at so many other entrepreneurs that are working in this space, they really are going to need essentially a distributed value to be able to make this viable in the marketplace. For example, biochar as a standalone product and a soil amendment in agriculture doesn't work. It costs too much. The scale to produce it's not there, and it's not going to be. The distributed values are useful, but our objective is to focus on solving specific problems, engineering product to do that and solve that specific problem and going after that one market. Today, with our product, I don't know of any competitive alternative that can remove nitrates as an adsorbent. Our competition in that space would be ion exchange and reverse osmosis, and those are simply not large-scale solutions to the problem of eutrophication and nitrates in the environment.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Understand.
Perfect. All right, Lisa, you're up.
Just a quick question about your customers. Did you say that you were thinking about the municipalities as an end user? And if so, what are you thinking about the sales cycle for municipalities? Because frequently these can take, up to a couple of years where they budget for something and then that cycle comes through where that budget is approved and then they don't start spending for another 18 months. So plus municipalities are notoriously cash strapped. So sort of how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, that's a big challenge. So some of my background experience is in selling design build stormwater systems to municipal systems and things of that nature. And so I'm aware of that cycle. And you're right, it's a year to two. It begins obviously with convincing the engineering and regulatory community that you have a value proposition that makes more sense than the alternative. And that can stretch on for more than a year at a time. So that's one part of the value chain that we're considering and we have interest. We believe shorter term and near term opportunities will likely exist in drinking water with point of use water treatment. We think that will be a high value add when you can actually remove the nitrate with a simple, inexpensive filter at your faucet versus an expensive reverse osmosis methodology or ion exchange, which is much more expensive. We think we have opportunity there. We do believe that there's going to be some opportunity in a circular economy around agriculture and solving some of the nitrate problems that are generated with tile drains, for example, in the Midwest, animal agricultural runoff. Those opportunities would require some work with government. And that's a long-term process as well. But in that economy, we capture the nitrates at the draining or at the exit point from the farm. It goes the biochar then goes back into the soil on that farm and helps to further regulate nitrate and nutrient release from those soils over time and creates a carbon capture credit for the farmer as that opportunity develops.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. Scott, feel free to leave your contact. It seems like there's a few more questions floating around. Thank you so much. Jordan from Spark Charge is up next. He's going to tell us a little bit more about batteries and, keeping your EV on the road.
Absolutely. Thank you, Asher, and thank you, everyone. Just going to quickly share my screen. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Meerhoff. I'm the Director of Grants and Government Affairs at SparkCharge. At SparkCharge, we've created the world's first mobile DC fast charging system and network. We don't just lead the field, we created the field. SparkCharge is on a journey to change the way the world charges electric vehicles. We enable EV owners and businesses to charge whenever and wherever they want with a push of a button. And SparkCharge is the pioneer of portable, grid-free electric vehicle chargers. We provide battery-powered mobile DC fast charging solutions for both businesses and consumers. This means our charging as a service solutions can be delivered quickly without fixed infrastructure. And those solutions are immediately deployable and work for numerous use cases and industries at varying scales. Our offerings can be categorized as one of or a combination of the following, which is portable EV chargers and charging as a service. And I'll go into more detail about both of those. So here's a look at all three of our offerings for portable EV chargers. We have the Roadie Portable, which is compact, scalable, stackable. The Roadie V3, which is powerful, resilient, versatile. And then the Roadie Hybrid, which is our latest and greatest public charging offering. So our portable EV chargers are battery powered with off-grid capabilities. The unit that you see now in the background, the Roadie Portable, we can actually plug into a conventional 110 wall outlet and just charge it like a laptop. Takes pretty much the same amount of time to recharge it. You can take it out and deliver the charge wherever you need it. Our solutions are customizable. This means your business your charging solutions can meet your exact needs. And going into more detail about the Roadie Portable, this portable DC fast charger is an immediately deployable solution to EV charging without fixed infrastructure. The modular batteries can be stacked for simultaneous use and allow you to tailor the range that you deliver. So we've seen really common use cases for this are in the roadside assistance market, as well as car dealerships love to have them on hand to when they receive delivery of vehicles. It's one of the few products on the market and the only portable product on the market that can jumpstart a totally dead 12 volts in pretty much any EV. OEMs use it for the same reason, and they're also great for events. Moving on to a little bit more heavy duty, we have the Roadie V3. Each Roadie V3 charger is capable of outputting 75 to 100 kilowatts, while V3 batteries now carry up to 70 kilowatt hours of energy. That means that they're able to deliver 250 miles of range depending on the vehicle. The Roadie V3 powers all of our charging as a service solutions. So you're getting the latest, greatest, fastest technology whenever you order our service. This means that you're able to charge your vehicles in any location without any trenching, digging, or disconnecting from the grid. It's essentially what I like to say a Tesla supercharger on wheels, and it charges at about that speed and about that power. And then finally, we have the Roadie Hybrid. The Roadie Hybrid unites product and service to provide resiliency and stability to our partners that require DC fast charging stations in locations that are typically inaccessible for fixed infrastructure. The Hybrid utilizes our Roadie V3 and our mobile service to deploy energy and scale electric vehicles efficiently without upfront capital costs. So as you can see, this is sort of a shipping container, for lack of a better word, that has 4 of our V3 units stacked inside. Essentially, when we can guarantee 99% uptime because we're constantly monitoring the state of charge in our batteries. And as soon as they reach below 20%, we dispatch one of our trained field service technicians who arrives with a fully charged battery, swaps those out, brings it back to our HQ, and we charge that up for continuous deployment. Some common use cases are in the retail space and real estate. These really can be set up anywhere. It's really plug and play, no grid connection necessary. Centralized fleets really benefit from having all of their DC fast chargers in one place, being able to move that around based on the needs of the fleet. Same goes for municipalities. It's also a great public charging option that meets all of the requirements for federal funding. So this can be a play for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Law, NEVI, or the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grants Program, CFI, that both came out of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill and is seeing a ton of funds for electric vehicle infrastructure in the United States. Also, emergency response. We've been working with various states and local governments on creating a sort of base camp for electric vehicles in emergency response scenarios like fires, hurricanes, what have you. Thank you. Now, just very quickly going into our charging as a service model, we have charging as a service business and charging as a service for customers. So for businesses, our commercial charging services were created for businesses looking to electrify their fleets without fixed infrastructure. The CAAS network is powered by Roadie Systems and allows businesses to remove the burden of high capital investment with specialized programs combining site design, energy deployment, software, and service to make EV fleet operations seamless. So diving in a little bit more, of course, powered by V3 technology, on demand through a portal. There are 3 different ways that we can deliver charges, sort of on demand through a portal. That's just sort of the Uber Eats of EV charging. You go into your app and request it, or you can get it automatically when the state of charge is low. So we can work with smart car integration so that your fleet vehicles get that charge as soon as they need it. You don't even, you just set it and forget it. Or you can set a recurring schedule and we'll be able to service those vehicles exactly when you need. So really, it's just to put the freedom in the hands of the owners and managers and operators through our charge management software. And then we also have out of charge, which is sort of how we started in the business. It is a commercial electric vehicle charging service that allows EV owners and operators to request on-demand EV charging when a vehicle is low or out of range. Out of charge was developed to meet the needs of partners who routinely have to service EVs with depleted batteries. This is, of course, a way to alleviate range anxiety and to take out of the equation the expensive process of getting a tow to a charging station. You know, it kind of goes against the whole electrified model. So we're able to send our trained technicians out to restart and charge the vehicle on site. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I can answer any questions that you have about Spark Charge Mobile, which is our app. And as you can see here, just a simple 1, 2, 3 step process. And here's our contact info. So very thankful for the time. Sorry, I ran over a little bit, but we at Spark Charge are very excited to partner with folks who are looking to electrify their fleets, especially with the May 30th deadline for the $700 million from the Biden administration for charging and fueling infrastructure grants. So please, I'll be dropping my contact info in the chat if you're interested in any projects that might be accelerated by Spark Charge technology. Please let me know. We are working fast to go national, and these funds are only available for a limited time. So with that, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Wait, so for the Q&A, so Tom, you have the first question.
All right, by the way, my introduction, I'm an active clean tech angel out of New York City and a member of several groups, Clean Energy Venture Group and the New York Angels. So Jordan, I'm sorry I didn't invest in you the first time you came around, or your company came around, You've raised a lot of money, but what I didn't quite hear is the core driving business model. Are you making money by providing the capacity for charging that a sponsor wants to have available, or do you actually make money reselling electricity?
Yes. So essentially what we do now is very fleet forward. Our business model is that we identify a market through fleet partnerships. They bring us into that market. We set up the whole holistic sort of operation for them, make sure that their system works with ours, and really just operationalize with them. That takes about a week or two, and then at that point we can open up the service to the general public. That's where you get the sort of the app and the Uber Eats of EV charging. So we are really make our money from these fleet contracts. And really the energy most of the time is just the pass through. What we're making our money off of is the contract with the fleets, and then our model for consumers is that it's a $40 charge for a scheduled charge and a $75 flat rate for an out of charge. So the pass through is usually just for the energy at a cost, and we make our money through the fleets and the consumers.
Perfect. Okay, next up is Fern and then Matt Cohen.
Thanks so much, Jordan. Question on kind of the future proofing of this idea. So as we continue to build out grid connected and permanent charging infrastructure, how does customer needs and appetite for mobile solutions continue to evolve?
Yeah, so we think that as more infrastructure comes online, it's only going to increase the need for portable charging. We have already identified multiple cases where it's just very unlikely that there's going to be a strong return on investment for stationary charging. Places like underserved communities, multifamily homes, rural areas, places where businesses are leasing their spaces and are much more reluctant to make that heavy capital investment. And we're also seeing that as technology progresses, people are getting a little gun shy, especially in the public sector where they've been through this before with installing charge points, level 2 chargers all over their city. Those are chronically underused. And they took too long to be put in, to the point that they were obsolete by the time people could really start using them. So the benefit of mobile charging is that as our technology improves, our customers get that benefit right away, and there's no downtime. There's very, very high utilization because it is on demand and can be scaled to meet those needs.
Thanks, Jordan.
Perfect. Matt Cohen and then Maureen, and then that's it.
Hi, everyone. Matt Cohen of Pangea Ventures, hard tech VC fund. My question is, what is the kind of core area of innovation here? Is it on the hardware or the BMS and software? Maybe it's more just on the kind of business model and the positioning of the company, but I was curious if you could quickly comment on that.
Yeah, so it's definitely the hardware. We have, I think now it's 5 patents protecting our technology. It's completely proprietary. We are the only people, especially in the United States, and I'd say on the planet, that have figured out this proprietary cooling method that allows the batteries to be safely handled and to be as fast and efficient as they are. So it really is that sort of the technology itself is sort of our bread and butter, and my job is to find different partnerships and ways that we can accelerate EV adoption through that. And just one other thing that I forgot to mention in the previous question, resiliency and reliability is what we're seeing as a huge driver for folks who want to access federal funds, but with a stationary charging model, but simply can't meet the uptime and reliability. So having us as a backup, we're sort of electrification insurance that makes sure that you're compliant with those very aggressive standards from the feds. So sorry to be a little disjointed.
All right, I think we actually don't have Maureen. Is it okay if you ask him in the chat or connect with Jordan offline? Perfect. All right, next up we have, thank you, Jordan. Next up we have Emerald. Presenting for Emerald is Natalie. Natalie, the floor is yours when you're ready to start sharing your screen.
That's great. Thank you, Asher, and thank you everyone that's here. Let me just share my screen. A moment. Hang on. Okay, can you see my presentation now? Okay, excellent. Okay, great. So hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Robinson, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Emerald. Emerald is transforming how energy is transmitted with long-range wireless power technology. Last year, we partnered with the European Space Agency and Airbus to demonstrate power beaming as part of the Solaris program. Solaris is the European Space Agency's program for the development of space-based solar power. Efficient and safe power beaming is the key to enable space-based solar power, and Emerald was the only company in the world who could deliver this technology for the purpose of the demonstration. In April last year, 2022, we completed field trials with our industry partners PowerCo and Areaki. PowerCo is New Zealand's second largest energy distribution company, and Areaki is New Zealand's government energy innovation agency. Both Areaki and PowerCo back Emerald as a way to connect remote communities and renewables to the grid. So why are these large companies and governments coming to Emerald for power beaming? Well, there is a large amount of renewable energy that needs to be connected to the grid. By 2050, this is expected to triple its existing capacity. So the vast electrification, distributed generation, and intermittency of renewables is putting huge pressure on existing energy infrastructure. The bottleneck is no longer how much solar and wind we can install, but how to upgrade our grids to meet the large demand and supply for renewable energy. So Emerald's power beaming system is the solution. We are taking energy on the same path as communication by going wireless. These slides that you can see show where we came from, what we are working on now, and where we're going. So on the left is an early prototype with our CEO, Greg, on the left, and on the right is our lead scientist, Ray Simpkins. This was the first time we demonstrated power beaming on scale. In the middle is what we're working on today, which is connecting the renewable energy wirelessly to expedite the energy transition and decarbonize industries. And then the end goal on the right is a constellation of satellites that will relay energy from anywhere in the world to any destination worldwide, just like communication satellites do today with information. So how Emerald's system works. So we have a transmitting antenna and a receiving antenna, and we're also developing passive relay systems. So the transmitting antenna energy is converted into electromagnetic energy and shaped into a tightly collimated beam that is then sent from the transmitting antenna to the receiving antenna, where it is converted back to electricity for use. So what we've demonstrated is the ability to create a really tightly collimated beam that minimizes losses outside of that beam. So who are our customers? Well, we're focusing on use cases where power line distribution is not viable or available. Our technology is an enabling technology that supports trillion-dollar industries who are having to innovate to meet net zero targets. This includes space-based energy distribution, and we've partnered with the European Space Agency and Airbus to demonstrate power beaming for this field. It's also connecting challenging locations to the grid. So we partnered with PowerCo and Ariake to address that use case. Other use cases include charging mobile vehicles such as planes and from ship to shore power capabilities, and then also disaster relief to replace power lines or for outage response. So power beaming is a new and emerging technology, so there is little in the way of competition. Emerald also has the advantage of moving quickly, and we've demonstrated our technology ahead of competitors. When considering the market, it's important to consider the different forms of power beaming. So there's laser, millimeter wave, and microwave. Energy's technology is microwave power beaming, which is most suitable for large power, long distance transmission, whereas laser and millimeter wave transfer technologies are not. The main reasons are around efficiency and safety and scalability. Emerald is leading the field in terms of development in microwave power technology. So we have a highly experienced team behind this groundbreaking technology, which includes world-class scientists. Notable people include Professor Carvello, who is the chair of IEEE Microwave Theory and Technology, which is the leading organization in the space worldwide. Dr. Kandal, who is an ex-country regulator for environmental health and risk management, and our lead scientist, Dr. Ray Simpkin, who recently won a national award for his achievements. So power beaming is a technology that's ready to be commercialized. It solves some of the most pressing challenges facing trillion-dollar industries worldwide. The time for wireless power is now, and Emerald is leading the way. If you're interested in investing or running pilot projects, please reach out. We are raising a pre-Series A round now, and our lead investor is 8090 Industries. Thanks.
Looks like you have quite a few questions, Natalie. So let's work through them. Okay, first up, it looks like Tom, and then Anna, and then Judy. So Tom, go ahead.
Can you address how much power you can deliver with this system?
Yeah, sure. So power can be scaled up with an antenna size. So we're focusing on large, like distribution transmission scale, like power transfer. So it's essentially limitless. It's just constrained by the antenna size. So we're demonstrating our next target in terms of demonstration is 1 megawatt, but then we will scale up over time.
You're delivering 1 megawatt of power through the air, and that's
Yes.
How big an antenna does that require?
Well, it depends on distance as well. So actually, the antenna size, the size of the antenna required is a function of distance and power level. So for 1 megawatt, I can't tell you specifically actually how big the antenna size would be, but I can tell you for transmitting over 30 kilometers, we would require a 30 meter by 30 meter sized antenna.
Wow, so you can really deliver, so you don't need copper cables, you can just send it through the air?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah, and it's so for space-based solar, which is huge amounts of power. Yeah, that's what we've demonstrated the small scale capability for, and it's really happening. It's where the potential is there, and that's one of the key enablers for space-based solar.
Perfect. Anna, you're up.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I guess I'm going to challenge you a little bit on the whole, you have no competition, because from what I understand, there are companies like ASIA or Kota that have been doing this for like a decade, and viably, we've done some pilots with them. So I guess could you elaborate a little bit more when you say you don't have any competition?
Oh, we have very little competition in. So do you want me to, what specifically? So for the specific use cases that we're focusing on, and in terms of what's being demonstrated, they're not, as far as we're aware, there aren't any companies that have demonstrated in the same capacity that we have.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go next. So my name is Judy. I'm with Energy Foundry. My question is somewhat related, which is, as much as you're able to share, I know a lot of this is confidential, how would you describe what the breakthrough innovation or the way that your team is doing it that's different than how some of these other groups that have attempted to build something similar or are not quite yet at the demonstration level that you're at? How would you describe the technology breakthrough or innovation that's different?
Yeah, sure. So it's I'm just trying to think about what I can disclose. So specifically, it comes down to the technology that we've developed to form to shape the beam, and then also what we're working on in terms of improving efficiency on the transmitting and receiving side. So so the way that the beam is shaped to minimize losses is that, and we've demonstrated over 95% efficiency in terms of the actual power beam. That's our unique proprietary technology that we have that is patented. And then we're also specifically focusing on how to improve efficiency at the transmitting and receiving side. And so for the demonstration purposes, we've had to use off-the-shelf semiconductor technology, but we're now focusing on developing our own to improve the efficiencies. And that's where a lot of our IP will come from. And also we have patent pendings for the design of, for example, the satellite technology and how we will receive and transmit energy from that perspective, and a number of others in terms of how we integrate the antenna into systems for specific use cases. But I would be happy to talk more, and I would love to talk more about what that looks like specifically. We would just have to do it under NDA.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Lisa, you're up.
So I'm in the chemicals industry, so I have to turn my question into a chemical question, and I apologize. One of the things that we have been looking at is green hydrogen. And what we find is that, where there is renewable power, you can make green hydrogen, but that's not where the users are. And so when you first started to give this presentation, the first thing I thought of was, wow, now that renewable energy can be anywhere, and I can make my green hydrogen where I need to use it. How far away are you from sort of mainstream, power transmission of that sort?
Good question. So it really depends on the power levels too. So how far away are we? Well, we can. That is a question of how much resource we can get. We're raising. The more money we can raise, the faster we can move to the stage where technology is commercialized. So our roadmap is to have a commercial system available within 2 years. And so it would depend on how much power you'd be looking at transmitting from that site. It would depend on when the technology would be available commercially.
Which of course I don't know, because that's a power question and I'm a chemical person, but thank you.
That's all right. It's the thing about this technology is that there's a number of variables that go into determining the capability of the system, the power level, the distance, and then the use case in terms of efficiency. And so we're continuing to do R&D to improve efficiency, increase distances, and increase power level. So we're really focusing on use cases at the moment where power line technology is just not an alternative. For example, and space-based solar is a perfect use case because you can't run cables up to space. But so as we improve those 3 metrics, it opens up more and more use cases.
Perfect. All right. Next up is Kip, and then Matt, and then we're going to wrap up for this showcase. Maybe we'll sneak in Craig also. Kip, go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Natalie, for the overview. Really, really fascinating. And just as a quick intro, the venture group I've worked with the most is VU Venture Partners. I focus on deep tech and climate tech, and especially climate adaptation. One question I had is I've come across concepts like this for launching space-based vehicles into orbit using gyrotrons to beam power. And one of the things that I had learned is that there were some technology breakthroughs or capabilities that needed to be developed for stepping up the power into microwave functions. is that already figured out, or are there any additional breakthroughs that need to be happen in that specific area?
So that is a great question, and I wish I had someone from the technical team to answer it more from a more technical perspective. But we are working on, we are doing R&D at the moment to improve that capability. So and that's where a lot of the IP for Emerald sits. And so we're working with, we have some partners that we're doing R&D with in that particular area. To unlock efficiency. So that's as much as I can disclose without an NDA, but I would be more than happy to have a conversation under NDA up following this call.
Okay, yeah, it'd be great to follow up. Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Awesome, Natalie, great to see you again. So my question is actually on terrestrial-based applications for signal interference. So because you're operating in the microwave spectrum, do you see any potential for unintended losses from other operations, including global navigation system signals or anything else in the free energy range?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I think there was some background noise or
apologies. So do you see any potential interference from other free wave in the microwave system spectrum, like global navigation system satellite signals, or is because you're in a linear path, you don't see anything potentially disrupting energy flows?
So to answer that, based on my knowledge, no, we don't see any. Hasn't been a an identified risk for Emerald. Yeah.
Perfect. Craig, last but not least.
All right. Yeah, I'm just curious if so you're sending this power wirelessly across and you have this beam going. Is there other information and things that you're able to integrate there as well? Or are you just looking at the power side, or are there comms applications or something like that is what I'm thinking?
So we are focused, so we are able to send a communication signal with the beam. So for example, a use case for that, I mean, if we think about what would happen when we develop the satellite-based system, is you could attach information to the power that is sent, so that as a user or consumer, you would know where your power could come from, for example. We could do that. That is one thing that is potential, but we don't focus on use. We focus only on use cases where they're wanting to transmit energy rather than communication technology.
Okay.
But we can use that to supplement the energy value proposition, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking more of the constellations and all of that, where the satellite to satellite links are becoming more important, and if you're able to put more than just if you're able to accommodate a lot of different things in one beam, that might be of interest, right?
Yeah, well, that's definitely potential.
Okay, thank you.
All right, perfect. Natalie, while we have, the last couple minutes on Zoom, feel free to write your information in the chat. If not, and people want to reach out, they can always email me. I think almost everyone has my email, but if not, it's oscar@deeptechshowcase.com. Okay, with that, we finish up the showcase. We appreciate everyone who joined, including especially, but not exclusive to, the panelists and the companies. We appreciate you joining us this time. Next time, we're going to see you hopefully for Industry 4.0 on April 27th. Yeah, feel free to reach out to Brian or myself if you'd like to join on the panel, or if you have, if you're an investor and you have portfolio companies that you think could be interesting for that showcase. So that's it. We're wrapping up for the day, but thank you for everyone who joined.
Thank you all.
Hey,
Bye.
thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.